Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Welcome to the Ego Denou-sen, the match between Chikun and DeepZenGo. And it's the second match of the three-game series. And I am Michael Redmond, 9-dan at the Nihon Kin.
I am Antti Tormanen from Finland. I became pro this year. I am 1-dan.
And we'll be with you today as yesterday. And we started on time today. So the sound is, I hope it's working. And so we'll be with you throughout the match. And so Chikun won the first game.
It was quite an interesting match, actually.
Yes.
It seems that DeepZen was not so bad in the opening and middle games, but finally towards the end something happened. And
Yes. I think Zen actually was ahead throughout most of the game, but Chikun won in the end game, which is even when I was commentating on the AlphaGo games
yes,
with Lise et al. I noticed that it did make mistakes in local positions, although usually AlphaGo was so far ahead that the mistakes didn't really matter.
for the final result.
Yeah. And so I think I see the same pattern in that Zen seems to be good at overall positions in the opening. And actually Chikun said that in his comments after the match when he commented that Zen is really good at positions that are hard for humans to see a good move in, such as the opening where it's really hard to decide a move. So that's the strong point of Zen. And I think it did well in the opening, although Chikun tried a very unusual opening yesterday.
It should have been something that didn't exist in DeepZen's database.
Right, yes. And of course, when I talked about things being, well, that's something that Lise et al. Also tried in the first game of that 5-game match.
Right.
And I was told off when I said that it probably wasn't in the database because actually this the neural network system doesn't use a database as to say, but it does have a database which it works from, but it creates these neural networks that have a kind of a bias towards certain shapes or moves.
Right.
And so it doesn't really matter to the program if it's seeing something that's absolutely new. It just fits it into some patterns that it's seen before.
Yes, it can still use the kind of shapes that professional players have used before.
And AlphaGo demonstrated that that works very well. And so this, and yesterday I think Zen showed that also. So it started out fairly well, but it does seem to have a weakness maybe in the end game and also in local positions, which most professional human players are generally pretty good at.
Yes.
Basically because we've done all those shapes on the side and in the corners. When we studied to be pro, we did a lot of Smiggle problems, life and death problems and stuff like that.
Indicate problems, counting positions.
Yeah, we just about know almost all of the shapes that we will actually get into in a game on the sides and in the corners of the board.
I suppose by comparison then, DeepZen is actually, it might be better at considering the center than professional Go players.
I think that even human professionals who are supposed to know so much about Go have much more problem reading in the center of the board because because there's a lot more patterns that have not happened so much in actual games.
Right.
And so we don't really have the experience to just know what the answer is in the center of the board. We're usually looking at a unique position, which is different from anything that we've done before.
Very few set patterns.
And so, yeah, and so we just don't see the mistakes it's making.
Basically.
Yeah, but we do see the mistakes that the computer programs make on the side of the board or in the corner of the board because we have so much experience in those shapes.
Local fights, corner shapes, like life and death in the lower right corner.
Oh, yes.
Yesterday.
So I'm sort of expecting that Zen will, in the remaining 2 games, Zen will probably have points in the game where it's ahead, especially in the early stages of the game.
Yes.
And I think a lot will depend on how it can avoid making mistakes in the local positions or how many of these mistakes actually show up because it's possible that Chikun was sort of lucky yesterday.
It is possible, yes. So today's game will still be very interesting as for what will actually happen. Also, now that the colors have changed, do you think something about the game will change as well?
Well, generally speaking, I think that since black has more power over how the game is going to
Especially in the
develop.
early parts, yes.
So it's going to be able to play a game that it thinks it's going to be playing a pattern that is probably played before. It's going to be playing a pattern that it thinks is correct.
So you might see some common professional opening, such as
Yes.
a Chinese opening or mini Chinese opening.
I think actually I saw somewhere, I think in the comments on KGS, that apparently Zen likes to play the mini Chinese.
Oh,
opening.
really?
Yes. Whereas, of course, AlphaGo likes to play, as far as I know, it liked to play several months ago.
Chinese
The
opening,
Chinese opening
all the time, yes.
Yes. And basically, AlphaGo is playing 1 star point and 1 3/4 point when it had black, and usually just 2 star points when it had white.
Yes.
So it was almost a fixed pattern there. And so then it would develop into the Chinese opening. But
As for Chikun's style, do you think he will prevent the mini Chinese or will he go along with it?
I just don't know. I think he'll probably change it move 6, probably. Yeah. When Black plays
makes
the
the
card,
approach.
he might play a pincer or something. I seem to remember seeing him doing that in his other games.
I see.
And here we have, you can see us on your computer screen, I suppose. You can also add messages. So you can type in a message, and it will show on your computer screen, and we will see it also. So you will be able to ask us questions. And if we do happen to see the comment, if we're looking at the screen at the right time, then we will be able to answer some of your questions. So you're welcome to, you're welcome to say hi. You're welcome to put in some comments or questions. If you want to ask something about the game or anything about the match, please
feel free to add comments here.
Yes. So we still have some time before the match starts. It will be starting in about 20 minutes now. I think they don't do a nigiri this time because
it should be set for this time, the opposite colors.
Yes, Zen will have black. So they'll probably just be starting in about 20 minutes now. So why don't we go through the first game? Is there anything else we should do? Why don't we take a look at the opening at least of the first game?
Look at the opposite corner here.
Yeah. And we see that Zen also has played 2 star points. But usually when your opponent plays an unusual opening like this, a lot of professional human players will also just play the star points to keep things relatively simple.
This way you don't decide anything, how the game will go.
So this is, so far, it's something that you would expect from any normal game. This is a bit unusual, but it's a move that has been played by a few players. Let's see, it's been played by Tormanen.
Yes, recently even by Cho.
Cho also, yeah, maybe last week.
I think I was recording that game actually.
Oh, really? And so it's, there's a number of ways Black can add 1 stone to make it a more, this would make it just a enclosure from the star point.
Star point came on then.
And you can play high. So it can be changed into a different type of shimari depending on the overall position.
Right.
So it's not necessarily weakened territory. Of course, white does have the option of jumping in.
White, I suppose usually you might want to think about one of these splitting moves.
Yes.
For example, if this happened, what would be the set scenario?
I don't know. Maybe something like this.
So in this case, I suppose Black might turn here and try to force White into a bad shape.
This is probably not so good for White because it's giving Black a large territory. White has a bit of a lack of liberties in his shape. It's not a very good shape for White.
And the corner seems to be big for Black as well.
So maybe White would change with this move playing here or...
right, in which case Black might surround and... this extension here. Supposed to be hit 1 stone. Maybe jump.
Something like that, yes. Hard to judge this, of course. It would depend on the whole board. Yes. Locally, it looks pretty good for White. But Black is playing to make a big moyo.
Black is kind of thick. White has wasted 1 stone, but also White's corner territory is not small at all.
Right. So something like this could happen, in which case White would take territory and Black would have thickness.
Yes. I think in the Cho game, White played this one and then jumped here. Then Cho attached here.
Yes.
To which White attached here. I think it was this kind of. Then Black went down.
And in this case, we see locally black is taking a lot of territory. It's quite similar to this joseki.
Yes. Perhaps white jumping here.
And something like that. But let's see. Black did need. This exchange is obviously bad for white, but black did play a move on the second line.
Yes.
So
white actually still has a move here.
And then the Pastruan cut. Yes.
Yes.
And so it's hard to judge really. Of course, Cho likes territory, so even when he plays this way, he ends up with the territory. And so at this point, AlphaGo played here. This is pretty orthodox, I think. And here, it's white played here, right?
All right,
yeah.
that's right.
Here. And this kind of fight. So it became very
early fighting.
Very hard fight. I think actually white is pretty strong because white has potential for an eye here, has a potential eye here too. And in this variation where white moves out into the center, white also has the potential attack against this black group, which happened later in the game. And so white seems to be handling this fairly well. And black seems to be playing a bit over-aggressively. Of course, that's Chochikun's style.
Yes.
And black ended up with a lot of weak groups.
It seemed like white had very few things to worry about in the opening.
White's play here is sort of unorthodox. It's usually not very good. But it works well with white's attack against this black group. So this is another point where you see a computer program playing on, maybe he played here once, and then here, and then white extended, and then here, yeah, and then there, yeah. So this is working well with the attack on this side. And black did have to handle that for a while.
And even still, white can live in the corner later on.
White can still live in the corner.
This attack remains.
Yes. I'd be happy just playing through the whole game actually, but we'll have to stop at some point. White played this exchange, which is probably not so good, but it's hard to say.
And about this one also, it's just a little bit difficult to say. White is kind of helping black go out in the center.
Mm-hmm. And one move that I found really interesting is the way that AlphaGo played this exchange and then moved elsewhere on the board. And this is actually a very good point. But a human player would just play here immediately without this exchange.
Right.
Because at any point, if white plays here, white can expect black to answer here. And so white doesn't have to hurry to play it right now. So if white plays the next move in this area, which would be here, then there's no difference. It's as if white had played this later.
Yes.
Or it would be the same thing. But when black plays a move to kill the white stones here, this should be considered a bad exchange usually.
It would be a big loss in territory.
Loss in territory. And so this is a move that a human player would say there's a potential that it's a bad move. And even if white plays here first, then it's just the same.
Yes.
And so a human player would not play that. But it's quite, I think it's characteristic. Yeah, characteristic of the computer programs. That white would play this and then I guess the computer program just re-evaluates the position.
I suppose.
With each move sometime, to a certain extent. And decided that this was biggest.
Yes.
Despite the fact that a human player would have a kind of a story behind the way he plays and want to follow up on this move once it's being played. So
and the computer is just re-evaluating all the time.
Yes. And so these are moves that would usually be called locally a mistake. But the computer program just isn't built in a way that it evaluates.
You can understand them, yes.
Yeah, it doesn't think of it as a mistake.
Yes.
And in the case of AlphaGo, that actually it seemed to work. In that, the moves that I was calling mistakes.
Right. It could actually make them work later.
It didn't make the program lose the game. In fact, despite these mistakes, as I would call them.
Yes.
The computer program was ahead. Yeah.
I suppose the computer is kind of trying to control the game so that it can later. It has time to return to the position later on, so that it doesn't turn out to be a bad move.
Yeah. Well, usually with AlphaGo that it turned out that way. In this
Yes.
game, actually, black did manage to play here
Yes.
first. Of course, this is one of the few outright mistakes that Chikun made in this game, because later on he played here.
So white could answer here.
Yeah, and white still had the potential ko in this corner if playing the hane here and playing this.
Yes.
This would have been alive by ko, which would have been a disaster for black. But instead the program died. And white's play here also, if white had simply pushed through here, or just left it for a while and left a possibility to push through here, I think we calculated that this was a 2-move win for black.
It should have been, yes, even with this kind of move here.
So black can leave it after white plays there. Black still wins by 1 move, even if black plays elsewhere. But at the very least, it means that most of these points will be
White.
white will be able to play.
In which case, this will turn into territory, and this will turn into
That's a
territory.
big difference in territory. Like if white plays just 1 move here, the rest of these moves will be all be sente. And even if black plays first, black's going to be very restricted in how much black can move out.
Right.
And so that would be compared to the actual game, that's probably about 10 points difference.
Yes. In the actual game, black was able to play here later on in center. And all of this became territory, and black had to add fewer
And that was
moves.
another mistake. This was actually probably just ignoring all of the stuff that happened here. Towards the end of the game, white had the potential to play here, and after which white could play here, black plays here. White does lose this semi, like it's like this, and black is winning by 1 move. But white can start a ko here. And in this ko, if black loses the ko, the whole corner here would be dead, which would be a disaster for black. And so if white had played here first, black would have had to put 1 stone in. Actually, it's a bit, it's a hard choice to say whether black wants to play here. I guess black would play here.
I suppose this stone existed already, so there's just a little bit thinness, perhaps.
Thinness. Of course, this still leaves a bit of a yoseko.
I see.
So black might be a bit
Hesitant to play there.
If black thinks he's ahead, maybe he'd play this way. But then white would get the forcing moves on this side too.
Yes.
And so this would be a huge difference. It would be about 7 points difference. That in the game, black finally got this in sente. And then later in the game actually forced this one too. And so black was getting something like 8 points.
Yes, that is the feeling.
Sort of free for nothing. And so this was actually where the game turned around yesterday.
Yes.
Although white was ahead before that, and I probably wasn't very clear in my commentary. But this was where black probably took the lead.
Right.
And after that, I think black gained a little bit more. There were some local mistakes in the
2 points in the upper
2
side.
points on the upper side. And that's something that I saw to a certain extent with AlphaGo also. The computer program seemed to make what I call local mistakes.
It doesn't make the most perfect shape.
But of course, when Zen made that 2-point mistake, it was probably winning in any case. So that was a mistake within its expected win.
Acceptable
and probably
ones,
didn't change the possibility of its win very much.
Right. This one, on the other hand, definitely changed the score.
Yeah.
Yes.
If it was a human, I would say it forgot to play this.
Yes.
Stage.
As for
of
the
course,
bots,
I don't think a robot forgets, but.
Do you think it might have been afraid of the core that might happen?
Well, I haven't seen Zen play a ko. People were talking about AlphaGo that maybe it didn't like kos.
Yes.
And I think that both of these programs are slightly weak in kos.
It seems that way. At least the paid application still has trouble with core.
Yeah.
If I play with it with 2 stones on 19 by 19, I usually want to make it into a core fight to have a chance to win.
Yes. Well, of course, AlphaGo, towards the end of the 5-game match, it did play a few kos. He said sort of forced it into it.
Third game, was it?
Third game, yeah, he played
AlphaGo had some kind of
there
big
was this
territory
inside
here.
of, yeah.
Yes.
That was another point where I thought that maybe AlphaGo was not so good at local reading because it was a position where a human professional probably would have killed the group outright.
Yes.
But AlphaGo made it. But AlphaGo had so many kozets in that game.
Right. AlphaGo just survived because of that.
It didn't even have to. It actually played elsewhere once during the ko.
Oh, I see. I didn't remember that part.
And so
still it was enough.
It did show that it could play a ko in the end, but it did seem to be avoiding kos to a certain degree.
Yes.
And I think that could be part of why Zen didn't want to play this ko.
Same
I
kind of
get the
symptom.
feeling that maybe it didn't want to play the ko.
Yes.
So that could be part of it. But of course, in actual practice, this ko would be such a great loss for black if black loses the ko. And it would be a what they call a flower viewing ko.
Yes. White would need to have just one kind of threat and
Yeah.
might turn the game around there.
So that would have been decisive if White had played that exchange.
Yes.
So Zen actually had some chances to win this game, the first game.
Up until
And-
quite late in the game, in fact.
Yeah. So I'm expecting to see it in the next two games. At least it's probably going to be ahead in the game
Yes.
at some points. And we will have the a separate Zen program assessing the score, right?
Yes.
So we'll be able to see what the program might think it is, how well it might think it's doing, although it's not
How
exactly
big is the winning
same.
percentage?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's
It
not
usually
the
gets
same
optimistic, but
Yeah, I do think the program is optimistic, slightly.
most likely if it wasn't, it would go crazy, like late
Yes.
parts in this game.
It did in the first game, towards the end, when it was, what percentage was it down to? I think it was in the 40s or 30s.
It was going somewhere around 45, maybe 42.
Yeah. Then it went down fairly quickly.
Then it started doing all those
Yeah.
forcing moves that didn't make a difference.
Well, forcing moves at last. Why don't we clear the board now?
Ah, yes.
So that the players are both all there. There's the
about-
sitting on the right of the screen,
8
and
minutes to the start of the game.
they still have and today's referee is Oh Man, and he's quite knowledgeable about computer golf. So I'm sure he has an interest.
He must have, yes.
Actually, I think he was doing a commentary yesterday on the internet.
Ah,
On the Yugen Noma, I think in the West it's called Cyber Oro.
yes.
And
Or
those are
W
the
Badok,
two
maybe.
record takers on the side.
Today we have. Is that Cho on the left side of. Well, on Cho, Omen's right side. Left side I don't recognize.
It's hard to say. I don't recognize it. It's a bit blurry.
Yes.
And we are here in the Go Association building, and we're watching online because the game is being played in the New Otani Hotel. And so it's a much more fancy room they have, isn't it?
As we see.
And it looks like they're all set to start, but
It's
they
just
still
a bit
have
early.
some time.
The hotel is doing this very seriously, it seems like, all the settings. Even the commentating room was, it was a really nice feeling. It should be inside the hotel as well, I suppose.
Yes, I believe so.
Yes. Today we have Takao Shinji with Yoshihara Yukari,
yes.
or Umezawa Yukari, as the West might know her,
Most people know her by that name, yes.
from Hikaru no Go. Usually when I train against Zen on my computer, if Zen gets to play black, it's very well able to control the pace of the game. So
Well, I get the impression that it's a fighting game, isn't it?
yes, but it will create a kind of thick position and then just push the opponent always into answering and control the flow of the fight. So what I'm interested today is how Chikun will comply against it. Will Chikun just answer peacefully, or will it become one more fighting game?
I think Zen was always like that, wasn't it? When it was weaker too.
I think so, yes. It might be
even
kind of the
yeah.
playing style of the program.
I had one of the earlier versions of the program, which was still very weak. That was before it did any of the deep learning or anything.
I see.
And so I was giving it a handicap of something like 4 or 5 stones.
Yes.
And it would do exactly that. It would have a very thick. It would go for the center of the board, and have a
From
very
very
thick
early on.
position, and it would be pushing me around.
Yes.
And so a lot of my moves would be forced. And then if I had a weak group, it would often come and try to kill it.
Yes.
Yes.
Also for killing, it seems to be quite strong, in fact. At least the newer, stronger versions of the program.
Well, it always was compared to its strength in general. I think it was always strong at killing stones.
Yes. As for defending side, maybe it's not quite as good at Sabaki, for example.
And sitting across from Chikun is the operator, who is also the programmer of Zen, Mr. Kato.
Yes. Did you meet with him in person?
I've met with him a few times. There were sometimes I've been to computer tournaments
I
in
see.
which the programs play each other, and of course he's always there.
Yes. He seems to be very enthusiastic about his job.
Oh yes. And he's, as far as the strength of the human programmers he's probably the strongest programmer.
He might very well be.
Yeah.
Isn't he
Except for Mr. Huang, maybe, who's also very strong.
He's a high-dan amateur anyway,
Yes.
right?
Mm.
Yes.
A lot of the programmers are relatively weak at Go, actually.
Yes.
So it's not actually that's necessary to make a good Go program.
Some might be amateur low-dans, some might be even Q players.
And also, I just remembered, we can also, not only can you add comments to the screen, but you can also answer questionnaires. So why don't we try doing something like that?
Oh, I see.
What shall we ask people? Well, shall we ask people how strong they are, maybe?
So questionnaire style.
Yes.
じゃあ、気力のアンケートをお願いします。So, of the viewers watching today, could you please tell us how strong you are?
And you will be able to choose, yes. So from beginner, double-digit Q, single-digit Q, and Dan, 5 to 7 Dan, or professional, yeah.
If you are 8 dan by chance, then just pick 5 to 7 dan.
Okay.
I think there will be no 8 dans, but...
And so then we will be able to see what percentage of you are in a certain rank.
So majority is single-digit Q.
Oh yes, not player, we didn't have that.
Wait a second, 4.5% professionals.
That's a lot.
I think we have like 2,000 viewers.
Okay.
80 professionals watching.
Maybe just a few people wanted to fill in that slot.
I think there is chance of that.
Yeah.
Either that or 1/3 of Nihon Keen is watching.
Yes, yes. Well, a lot of people could be watching.
It is true.
Yeah.
Oh, it's 160 professionals. It's 4,000 viewers now.
Wow.
Well, let's take that with a grain of salt, I suppose.
And they're pretty close to starting time now.
2 more minutes.
Yes.
Maybe that's Mutsura on the left side of Omeyen. Hello. So we can in fact read the comments over here. Are you pumped up for today's game? Looking forward to it? Silence. I think there's probably a short delay here.
Yes, a slight delay, yes. Chikun is very quiet this morning. He's looking very serious.
Go ahead, make the question. I suppose we are here for Go and not politics today.
I'm sure a Finnish person could make a comment without trouble.
Perhaps, but it'll be viewed as somebody working in Japan.
Okay.
That could be.
And this match, I didn't really get that final question, but the third game of the match will be played regardless of the result today. So
Even if
yeah.
Chikun wins the second game.
Yeah. And they have started now.
I suppose Zen will think for another 20 seconds or so for the first move.
We just had someone ask, what do you think before the Go match? And what would you say?
About the result?
And what do you
think? About what kind of things
I
do you
think
think
the
about?
question was, what kind of things do you think about before you're about to play?
I'm actually trying not to think about anything. I'll just try to quiet my mind and maybe do some breathing exercise. How about you, Michael?
I try not to think about the game very much. Yeah.
Yes. How about the lunch break?
I try to find something else to occupy myself. Yeah.
Yes.
I think it's just too tiring to be thinking about it.
That is the feeling, yes. Because it'll last for from morning 10 o'clock to maybe 5 o'clock in the evening.
Yes.
And if your head is full of Go all the time, it
there's
wears
a
you down.
45-minute lunch break. And I don't think it's really very productive to be thinking about the game.
This will be quick.
Okay, Chokun's playing quickly today also.
If it was star point over here, I think mini Chinese would be very likely. But this way, will black still play the 3-4 point there?
And then white has a choice, of course, to play a star point or a 3-4
White
point.
might play here or yes. In this case, the mini Chinese opening is kind of prevented.
Right. Old Man was saying yesterday in his commentary that Chikun plays quickly when he really wants to win. He's well known for the amount of time he usually takes, but when he really
wants to win,
more than playing a good game, you might say. Okay, we had that on board already. Good.
This has been decided. A
5 3-point.
That will be prevented.
So he's into the 5 3-points in this series.
Was he perhaps thinking that if he plays the 3-4 point and black approaches, it could still become kind of mini Chinese?
Yes, that would be a common variation.
This might be one of the most common variations in the DeepZen's database. Trade these stones here and then take the Chinese point. This might have happened, for example. Now that white has taken the outer side, I suppose black stone here doesn't have a purpose anymore. What would you say about this move, Michael?
It's taking territory, the most territory-taking move that black has the choice of. And there's a ladder involved, which looks like it's good for black. Like there's this ladder. Well, for instance, this one. This looks like it's good for black.
So black will run out and white will be in trouble.
So white would, maybe in this case, white would play this way. And this fight.
How was this game again? There's a
maybe this way?
Then go out.
This is one thing that could actually happen. Or otherwise, well, if white's going to play locally, this is what I would sort of expect.
Yes.
And then maybe somewhere around here.
Sure.
Yeah.
In that case, we'll get a running fighting game very quickly again.
Very quickly, yeah. Like the first game, it would
Yes.
be another fight. Otherwise, maybe white could... It would be unusual for white to play elsewhere, though. So that would be my first guess, would be the variation we just showed.
Right. Also, if black gets to play somewhere around Keima here, it seems to make a big difference locally.
Okay. This one, that's also an option that white has. It's not really a joseki in that it's much more difficult.
The usual shape should be black plays here and prepares to cut or crawl.
Yes, this could happen.
But it seems like this has one more ladder again.
Oh, this ladder, yes.
Which again would be good for black.
That's good again for black, yes.
So
yeah.
white would get split up. Perhaps this way.
It looks like black could play this way.
Yes. There might be a core fight again, though.
Another core
which
fight,
the bot
yeah.
might not want. It does seem like this could become very straightforward fighting early on again. As predicted. Chikun is playing extremely fast.
Yes. In this shape, white has the key point here to play later, or maybe even next. In this case, the ko would be one move. It's actually better for white than the previous variation we were showing before because
Black had a stone here.
yeah, and white doesn't play. It's basically this stone for this stone exchange, and this is having a black stone here is much more important than having a white stone here. Like this move would be played elsewhere, like here or here
Or here.
or here, yeah. And black's group in the corner is not alive, so black sort of wants to add a stone to that.
He
But
would
if
be
black
going
plays
down.
here, white still has this move, and this move. And again,
Becomes a kind of trumpet shape.
Right.
This one
And
has a core in the
later
corner.
on, white can, probably not feasible yet, but later on white can attack with this ko. So this is sort of looking playable, looking okay for white.
So black keeps moving his stones towards the center again.
Well, black would like to be playing on a pincer on the left side now.
In which case, again, let's say around here, white might again go for this.
White might start the ko, yes.
Or he might cut black from the outside. 3 space. Yesterday he said, "I'm a cat." Was he
Who
saying
said
that? Chikun, apparently.
Oh yes, that's the name of a famous Japanese book.
Oh, kind of poetry or?
It was prose. It was not poetry, but it's a very famous book by a famous Japanese writer.
Yes. I had no idea.
And I don't really know what he was trying to convey. Someone, yes. And there was a Japanese comment just now saying it was Natsume Soseki, the writer.
Very famous. I suppose I should try reading more.
Yes.
I might become able to understand Chikun.
It was the first time I heard him say that, actually. But he does say a lot of very interesting things during the game.
I did actually hear that comment before when I was recording his games.
Mm-hmm.
Seems to be one of the set phrases just these days. Chikun is actually also a fairly popular writer here in Japan. Mm-hmm. He has a column in a weekly Go newspaper. And it's been even put together into a series of books. Mm-hmm. I think there's three albums out by this point. Have you been reading them? I actually didn't.
A little bit sometimes. I don't read them recently.
It seems to be kind of a philosophical topic almost, or everyday life, or...
Yeah, very random. A number of things he writes about.
I see.
With this move, white is threatening to connect up on the third line, or move out into the center. So he's basically making
One of
mi
these
of
two.
those 2 points. Yes.
If black tried to defend against both of them, would he think about trying to attach here first? Keep this stone busy?
Let's see. I think we need the go board on the screen to do that. Ah, well, that was the move that you were suggesting. So, yes.
So, if black doesn't do
yeah,
anything,
right, there's
white has a
that
connection here.
Connection there, and also white can move out in the center.
Yes.
So basically, white's making mi of those 2 points. So the standard move that would probably be here.
But that's
does
still...
not, it doesn't really stop either of those. So white can move out into the center fairly easily. So he played here.
Black tries to keep this white stone busy. Now if white runs out...
White can still run out.
It doesn't seem like black has enough interesting moves in this area yet.
Once more, white has the hane here to make a ko in the corner. So
Yes.
it looks like white should be able to
Handle
make
this,
sabaki. Yeah,
yes.
I would expect this kind of thing to happen. And of course, if black is really serious about killing white, black would play this way.
Yes.
And
At this point, I suppose white will give up this one stone.
oh, white could even play here though, and start the ko here.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to die. If black connects, white can play the kaketsugi, and it's
Yes.
more or less alive.
And black has to do something about the cutting point here as well.
So this would be generally considered a very vulgar way for black to play.
Yes. Black did extend out, but well, this
I'm
seems
sort of
manageable.
expecting, and the game is moving quickly again, so we'll have to be on our toes to keep up with them. I saw some questions about Chikun name. Naturally, I'm calling him Chikun because while he's been in Japan, I've always used the Japanese
Yes.
pronunciation for his name.
He came
on
to
the-
Japan when he was 6 years old, so
Oh, yes,
I think he's
yeah.
used to it.
And on the homepage, and in this match, he's being called Cho Ji-hoon, which I think is closer to the Korean pronunciation of his name.
Yes.
So, in a way, you could say that both of them are correct. But in Japan, he's generally called Cho Chikun, and I think he's known by that name overseas also.
Chikun seems to be the more normal way, I think. Yes. Somebody was asking about if Go is popular in Finland.
Is it?
Well, we have a number of players. We might have maybe 200 people who kind of actively play in clubs or go to tournaments. And there might be 1,000 people who at least have played a few times. Because Finland only has a population of 5 million. 1,000 people inside that is it's a high percentage, even inside Europe. So you could say relatively popular.
Well, do a lot of people travel around Europe and play in the tournaments then?
That's quite normal in Europe,
Yeah.
actually. Compared to Japan, distances are a lot wider.
Yes.
You need to take a train or maybe fly somewhere to go to a tournament. But many people do that kind of thing. And then there's, of course, the European Go Congress,
Yes.
which
yes, of
should be
course.
is it the biggest Go event in the world, actually?
It's a
Recently
very big
there's
event. I think
1,000 people recently.
1,000 people, and the fact that it lasts for about 2 weeks.
2 weeks, yes.
Yeah, make it pretty special, I think.
That tournament Go Congress is always in a different city each year. So it's a kind of a festival kind of feeling with many countries participating and having fun together.
Are there any plans for it to be held in Finland?
It was actually in 2010.
2010.
Yes.
Okay, I missed that one.
The accommodation was just a little bit expensive that year, so we only got like maybe 500-600 people, but it was still very successful. I think there were like 80 Japanese people as well participating.
Well, with the European Go Congress, there's always a group of, well, in America too, actually. But,
Yes, there seems to
always
be
a group of Japanese people.
Yes. It seems like even the same people like to go many years in a row.
There are a number of people who come every year.
Yes. Europe is now early morning, right? It should be... In Finland, it will be 6:15 in the morning. And Finland is relatively on the eastern side, so it might be 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock in Western Europe. Even then, I think we are having quite a good number of viewers from there. And of course, as the game goes on, we'll have more and more. So in the meanwhile, we are getting into the co-fight.
Yes. Well, white had the option here of moving out, which is sort of what I was expecting. And white should have no trouble moving out for the time being. But he played the Hane first. Now locally, black really has to choose between connecting, which would be safe, but would give white the option of living with something like this.
Yes, Hane connection.
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, that looks just about alive.
If black wanted to resist, he might play this way. And
which would leave a possible call. So in a way, white was sort of testing black's reaction. And it's actually a nice move to play on the outside here, because white cannot, like white could try to cut black off, but it doesn't really work. This would be bad for white. Obviously bad for white.
Yes.
So in the end, white has no choice but to play something a bit more conservative. That would be one way to do it, and black would continue this way.
This becomes the earlier failure.
Yeah.
So white has to capture.
We'll see if Zen does this, if Zen really does have an allergy to coast or not. This is something that could actually happen.
Yes, a human professional would like to play it this way, I think.
Otherwise, if white doesn't want to play the ko, white could play something like this.
Yes.
And white would have a living shape, but it would be a bit painful, I think.
This would be a cramped shape somehow. Yeah. Black is all connected on the outside and can do something like invade this corner.
Right. So I would prefer to play this way with white.
And I suppose from this point, well,
it's more useful to play
could
from that
avoid the core.
And white could probably still play here. This would be bad for black, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
Even Zen should figure out this much.
You're not making fun of Zen, are you?
I am getting to that point already. We didn't see a single co-fight so far.
Yes. Well, we will. I do have a sort of suspicion that Zen doesn't like to play ko's.
Yes.
Yeah. And so we'll see what it does with this. And I had the same suspicion of AlphaGo, actually.
Oh, really?
Although it was, I think it tended to avoid playing ko's, especially when it felt that it was ahead in the game.
There were just a few co-fights, but it was always controllable in that case.
Right.
It didn't play anything that was uncertain. Even the overall feeling of AlphaGo might have been that it was a bit more solid somehow in fights.
Okay, it is playing the ko-tape. So this is going to end up being a trade, because white does have some local ko-threats.
So death will be impossible to happen. Black will get something in exchange for white living in this corner.
Now the question is, does white start the ko immediately, or try to set something up first? Or maybe just leave the position, which would be dangerous, but it's not going to die without a ko anyway.
If white leaves it, then I suppose black
best
captures.
Move would be to capture, yes. And then just continue.
Yes, it has to be this one always. White has some code threats like this, for example.
Which white doesn't want to play, of
course. And even if white tries to live locally, black will play a Tori on the lower side. And still, this core will be the talk.
But it does take a number of moves for black to completely kill the white stones.
Right.
So I suppose playing elsewhere is one option. But since this part of the board is relatively big compared to everywhere else, since there's so many stones already invested in it, it's more normal for white to try to find a way to finish off the call and solve the situation. Yeah.
Everywhere on the board, this white group is already strong. Here there is no perfect shape, and this is also a thick position. So this should be the most interesting topic.
He's trying to make the ko bigger now. This is something that crossed my mind.
wedge here.
Probably this way.
This way.
Yeah.
And cut. So when black has to connect here, white could even think about cutting here perhaps, if he has a co-threat.
He needs a co-threat. So maybe some trade like this could happen.
In this case, white would get quite a good territory actually.
Otherwise, if white wins the ko, we can see that black is liable to lose a lot of points here. So like this kind of trade.
Then connect there and cut
so the
remains.
outside shape is damaged fairly severely. So maybe he's
Black would
thinking
have
of
tools
this kind of trade.
How would you evaluate this?
Well, let's see. White has more than 20 points there and 10 points there. This looks playable. I think it's a pretty even actually. I'm not sure that it's good for white.
Black has a thick outside shape.
I think Chikun is he's muttering and he's calling himself a fool again. He was saying that yesterday also, but of course he won that game. Otherwise, he could start the ko now and use the follow-up moves as co-threats.
From here on.
Yeah. But I sort of question as to whether they would be forcing it in that case.
They might not be big enough. This will be an empty move in that case.
Yeah, black might just finish off the ko. And black still has some more, even could play here or could play this way and attach here. And would still have some attacking to do, like maybe something like this.
Yes. And this corner will live anyway.
It's alive now, yeah. So I'm not sure.
This would be quite dangerous for white, it seems like.
White could maybe play once here and then start the ko. So play here now, and then black pushes through, then starts the ko.
And now in
this is going to be a valid ko threat.
Yes. In this case, if white gets out with this kind of shape,
that's much better for white.
This will be very painful for black, in fact.
And the reason I'm fiddling around with the order of moves here is that in the previous variation where I used this is a ko threat, it was a bit painful to be playing this when it's pretty apparent that black's going to eventually capture those stones.
Ah, right.
And so I was trying to get away from playing this ko threat by using one of these moves as a ko threat.
So Chikun is entering deep reading here.
And muttering to himself. I think it's a signal that maybe he's entering his serious mode.
Yes.
A bit earlier than he did yesterday. And he's starting to use time earlier this time.
Could it be that he has been researching Zen's games and figured that Zen is actually quite good at especially as black in the opening? So he will put up a fight early on in order not to get behind.
Well, he did say that he had gone through, did he say 10, 12, something like that, games of Zen's? And when did he say that? I think he said that when he was asked after the game about why he chose to play an unusual opening.
Ah, so yesterday.
And his answer was that he had looked at a certain number of Zen's games. I think he said something like 12 or 13. And he decided to play an opening that Zen had not been playing in those games that he'd seen.
So which wasn't in the database?
So he's going to play something different from that. And he did repeatedly say that he thinks Zen is very strong in the opening.
Yes. That
was one point that Chikun was very strong in pointing out.
So it's very possible this is a game plan for Chikun for this game, especially for white's position. Well,
playing the 5-3 point didn't really seem to confuse Zen in the first game.
Yes. Ah, here it came.
So far,
black
he's playing the moves that we were sort of expecting.
Yes. This should be expected now, I suppose. It seems to be the flow of the game. It seems to be about the same pattern as yesterday by time usage. Cho is using about twice as much as Zen.
Yes. Yesterday they ended up with almost an hour on the clock.
Yes.
Yes.
And Cho Chikun was just entering Byoyomi.
And just for those of you who are just coming in to watch this match, it's called the Denou-sen, and it's a match between Chikun 9-dan and DeepZenGo, which is a computer program. So on the left
Japan.
of the screen, you can see Mr. Kato, the programmer, who is also the operator in this game.
Strong amateur player.
Yes, and the player with the white stones is Chikun. And I'm Michael Redmond, professional 9-dan of the Japanese Go Association.
And I am Antti Tormanen, Finnish professional, but also at the Japanese Go Association.
And so, usually it's pretty hard to predict what the players are going to do, but I suppose the fact that it's such a limited fight, both of the players have to concentrate on this one part of the board.
Yes.
Makes it relatively easy for us to sort of foresee the moves so far.
It does seem like the kind of straightforward give and take. For some reason, Zen is thinking long here, but it doesn't seem like there's any option but to capture. Yes. Here also, well, I suppose we could think about extending or connecting, but connecting seems to be the normal move.
Both are possible, yes. It's hard for me to say which is going to be better, but of course the cut here is mostly erased by the connection.
Right. This one kind of makes the later capture of these four stones smaller.
Smaller, yeah. But after white finishes the ko, there will be a potential cut here.
Yes.
So it's a question.
It was a connection.
So white is going to finish the ko here. Probably whatever black does. So black will probably play a ko threat
In the upper left
on
corner.
the upper left corner, yeah. Any move in the upper left corner.
Ah.
Oh, that one. That's probably not going to be forcing though.
White connected immediately.
And black will capture the one stone.
I suppose it is sent against the corner, forcing. If white gets black gets to play 2-2 in the corner, white isn't alive.
Yeah, the safe move would be to cut there. White could actually come down here, which would be a bit greedy. It would leave some bad aji.
For example, going down here would threaten a peep or a cut here. Well, I suppose black might play it directly as well.
Well, this exchange would probably be better for white
Yes.
to have this exchange in.
So the main problem could be if black has time to play this kind of move in the corner first.
That would leave maybe a ko. Well, white could probably kill it without ko with this move. It would leave a potential semi-ai though. It looks like white wins the semi-ai.
White seems to be is the one move win actually.
If black plays,
well, there's a ko
if
here,
black
but
plays the peep, yes. So white would be losing a bit of territory in the corner, but saving this stone is pretty big. So
Yes.
it's a possibility for white. I think in the variation I was just showing, white probably loses 2 or 3 points in the corner by being forced to add stones to capture the black group.
Right.
Compared to this position where it would be just about finished with usually no more moves. If white, depending on what happens, maybe one more move inside the territory.
In this case, black has the opportunity of later on capturing these stones.
Which is pretty big.
5 stone.
So that's why what he's thinking about at this point.
right now Zen is thinking it has a 54% chance of winning.
Mm-hmm.
White is 46. Well, especially in the early game, this kind of thing will happen.
I think anything in the 50 percentage, 50% is
Quite even.
it's about even, I think.
And it is very possible that the reason that Zen is valuing black higher here is again because black has these all stones facing the center, which leaves when the game enters play in this area, black has a fighting advantage.
Yes.
So it is easier for Zen to press the fight to a result that it likes. It does seem like computer programs all around seem to value these kinds of stones quite highly.
And at this point, I'm not really sure whether they're right or wrong, actually.
Yes.
Because human players usually would value the cast, the territory, more than that.
I suppose most professionals would like this kind of territory and
Yeah.
thick position here as well.
It's very easy to see how much white has.
Yes. And how much value this one exactly has.
It's
later
harder
in the
yeah.
game.
So in practice, it's often very difficult to make use of that
Yes.
effectively.
But still,
But,
computers keep on playing this way, and AlphaGo actually did beat Lee Sedol
Yes.
with
So-
the same kind of valuation.
And just because it's so hard to evaluate, it means that we don't really know whether it's big or small or not at this point.
Yes. So Chikun played the simple cut.
Yes.
So now it seems like this area of the board has been more or less fixed.
Fixed, yeah. Now black can move probably to the right side. In this kind of game, since white is so strong in the lower left, the value of the enclosure here, the corner enclosure, is slightly smaller than it usually is. So black doesn't really have to limit himself to this one move.
Yes.
Black could play something like this on the right side, which would work well with the center.
It might actually become possible that there's some black territory in
And
the
the upper
center.
side is pretty big too. So black, I would want to play on the right side or maybe on the upper side, if I was black.
I might also consider entering this corner somehow.
Well, that would, if black enters the corner, I would probably cover from below and here.
And extend normally, I suppose. If it becomes the normal 3-3 invasion, white will not play the final defensive
Right.
move.
I would probably switch to the right side, something like
Yes.
that. Or maybe in the center. Actually, Zen played the Kakari, the approach move.
Oh. So in that case, I suppose
This is
white
probably more normal because after white protects the
Defends.
corner, black can still sort of, there's still some bad agi and sometimes black will just squeeze
I see.
to get some extra forcing moves. Like later on in the game, black can squeeze from the center.
That
It's
makes
probably a
kind
bit
of
early
wall.
to do this, but black can make a very nice wall here
I see.
with the extra forcing moves here. So once white does protect the corner, it's relatively easy for black to play these forcing moves from the outside.
Yes.
And so he could, I would hold those moves in reserve since black's so strong here, he doesn't have to hurry to play that. So
Anytime,
I'd play
in any case,
something
also.
around here maybe.
So Chikun seems to play the jump instead.
The meaning of protecting the corner is the same.
It leaves a little bit more agi. Bad taste in the shape.
There was some
but
bad agi there anyway. I think
Yes.
he was maybe worried about this kind of move to a certain extent. And
Then, for example, if white covers, it might be like there is almost a life with this kind of placement.
yeah, black might play that with some, might even play it first. Like the order of moves here is hard to say, but something like that. In which case, it's actually more effective to have this stone on the second line sometimes.
Right.
It makes it more difficult for black. Also, when black does something like this and like this, I'm not really sure how I would. This is where it might be a bit more bad oddsy.
Yes.
Um,
Cover and black kind of gets out.
that would be a
This
ko
side.
type of situation.
Yes.
Again, we'll see if Zen likes to play the ko or not.
I suppose this will happen only later on, but
So there is some bad oddsy there, but it's stronger in territory, of course.
yes.
And if we sort of assume that that's going to be White's territory, it would probably be about 20 points.
Right.
And White has something like more than 20 points here, maybe something more like 25 points.
The territory can get a bit bigger here.
Mm-hmm.
About 45
So
points.
so 45 points is a lot of territory to start out with, actually. So AlphaGo played this move.
And Zen played it.
I'm sorry, Zen played it, yeah. Well, I think it's similar to AlphaGo in that it likes to fix the shape like
Yes.
this and likes to play forcing moves. As I was saying, if I was black, I would have left that position for a while because I think there's some potential to have a more severe move inside White's territory.
Later on,
So,
black
yeah.
might decide from many different
Yeah.
options, depending on what's over here.
Exactly. It all depends on what happens on the upper side. The value of any such attack on White's territory would change.
Yes.
Whereas this kind of move is, White's probably going to answer it here. And this
Let's
exchange
play
would usually be forcing at any point because Black has started out being so strong here
Yes.
anyway. There's not really very much point for White to counterattack. For instance, counterattacking would be this move.
Going out and
This could be a bit dangerous. I think even Black might try something
Bump.
like this and like this. This looks like it's going to be a dangerous fight for White, even just with the bamboo jump.
so this territory has disappeared.
Mhm.
White has run out from here, but because black has all these stones, white stones make no difference to black whatsoever.
And so White's still in a bit of trouble here.
Yes.
So I would not be even thinking of doing that if I was White, and I would be happy to play underneath. In which case, White actually has a very solid 20 points, maybe a bit more than 20 points.
This might be 25 again with many endgame potentials.
Well, at least 20 points. And so White, of course, Black is more or less connected here, so would be able to play the next move maybe a bit more wide on the side.
Right.
But it's not as if this whole moyo is going to be territory. It might be what Zen likes to play. But if I was Black, I would not have played this exchange so quickly. I'm sort of confused that Chikun is thinking about this so long, because I would be very happy to answer on the left side.
He might be feeling annoyed that he will get some senti moves played against it.
Yes.
He seems to be the kind of player that he wants to counterattack whenever possible.
Yes, exactly. It's not usually wise to counterattack when your opponent has a huge wall, though.
Yes. Winning percentage seems to be 58 now for Zen. It's rising up surprisingly quickly. Actually, one thing I was thinking about from my experience with playing Zen, that it might play the most crude way of all times here. Actually,
You mean
bump.
this one? Yes.
Yes,
Well,
just to enclose white off.
that would be forcing.
This one, I suppose white will take center.
Maybe, yeah.
Once more.
Black might actually, because of the weakness in the corner,
Ah, I see. So this Atari basically.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Black might try doing that.
Yes. In that case, this could actually be annoying for white somehow.
And so I was talking about the weakness. As long as Black can hold together in the center, which
It
looks
seems
like
to be a
Black's okay.
ladder.
There's this move next, which will make a ko of it. So this would be very bad for White. But he did play the fight.
This kind of thing.
That would be a ko, yes. So this would be bad for White. White might leave it at this point. If White just leaves it at this point, excuse me, this would be okay for White. That would not be a
Right.
ko.
But basically it means this black descent will be center. He'll play Atari first. And go down. So it would be this kind of wall.
But of course, it's White's turn to play here.
Yes.
It would be like this,
Yes.
and White would have Sente to play something like this.
Yes.
So this is the way I would maybe play with white, unless I wanted to avoid that by
Most
playing
human players would
here.
not play like this as black.
Excuse me, this is over here. This is another option white has, because after this would not be forcing.
Yes. But territory-wise, it's taking a small loss for white now.
But instead of playing that way, Chikun pushed through. So this is the move that I was not recommending, actually. It looks a bit dangerous.
Yes. Meanwhile, black's percentage has climbed up to 60. In fact, diagonal, is
I
it?
suppose, yeah, once black plays that way, black's going to play the Chikun.
This actually seems kind of dangerous for...
Well,
get dangerous very
white
quickly.
has very little to gain by playing this way, because white's already lost most of his left side territory. And
He might have 2 weak groups as well.
he has 2 weak groups. The corner is going to be okay for the time being. But say white moves out and black plays here, white will have to add a stone to the corner now. And so something like this will also be forcing, which means that white cannot make 2 eyes on the side.
This is actually not even cleanly.
It's not completely alive even after black protects here. So, well, that's
Oh,
another
well, that's
call.
a good ace.
Oh, well, with that, then white has something like 0 eyes on the
Yes.
outside. So this is not does not look good for white, and it's a variation that I would just throw away immediately, because white's already lost something like 15 points of territory,
Yes.
and does not have the initiative on the outside either.
Now this black strong outside group will come into play
Right.
in a very nice way. This is down here.
Excuse me. Against this move, black has to extend.
Send, yes.
So on the upper side, it looks like black might be falling apart. But of course, when that happens,
Maybe jump.
either here or maybe the jump, yeah. Black can close white in. And it looks a bit painful for white to try to make eyes there, doesn't it? Maybe white can make eyes with this.
Then by going down.
And then like this.
And that's
But
one more
those
go
are
down.
basically, although it looks like white might be making some territory, the gain is actually negative because white's losing more territory in the corner.
Yes.
And white's going to end up with something less than 15 points in all.
And in
black's
fact,
gonna
this
have
black
better
wall is
thickness.
just moving out.
The wall is just getting better. So this is looking bad, like a mistake for white.
Yes.
Okay. Zen seems to agree with me.
It's going as expected. There also doesn't seem to be a reason to jump out here. This plot will be very big.
Well, black is happy anyway.
Yes.
And still has the wedge here, depending on this point.
Right.
So black might not do this immediately. But the fact that white needs to play that exchange to connect up
If it's center here or not.
means that white has bad shape in the corner too. So this is very surprising that white would do such a thing so early in the game.
We
White
did
pushed
push
through,
once more. That is normal.
and so black will naturally come on the top here.
Yes. Oh, black extended.
That was not expected.
Perhaps it is impossible anyway for white to run out here.
White still wants to play on the upper side for the time being, but it looks like it might be difficult for black to kill the whole white group. Maybe white should play once here. Oh no, that doesn't work either. Maybe white should play here first. The order of moves is a bit difficult.
Right. If
Let's
just
have
there,
white play
black
here.
might go down.
And now this is not forcing anymore?
I was thinking even if we answer, there's is there a way out?
Ah, that way.
But this becomes a capturing race that might be difficult for black.
Maybe not. Let's try this out. It looks interesting.
Maybe extend once. That's three. Well, then finally there's this kind of trouble as well. Locally speaking, Well, if black can make one eye over here.
If black makes an eye, it looks maybe good for black.
Yes.
Yeah. What's more, this is not necessarily forcing, I think.
I see.
Yeah. So he played the Hane first. And he's probably going to extend down in this case also. Because at this point it's sort of difficult. Yeah, if black plays that
Which one
way,
is it?
then the damage to the corner is relatively small.
Yes.
So white can continue this way. So this looks, actually the extension was probably a bad move when this happens.
Might have been soft. Maybe not making the exchange and trying to force white into do this anyway.
It would have been better to have it like this and force that sequence so that black could continue here, which is much better shape for black.
Yes. Now the game might look like more like this, I suppose.
Well, if black plays that way, white might continue by playing here and actually
yes.
jumping out.
Right, because that will force black to do something in the center first.
So the way black can connect here is a bit difficult. It's hard to say how black should continue now.
In the meanwhile, the percentage has risen to 64. Should we make a questionnaire around this point as for
Sure.
expectation for the result of the day?
Oh yes, we should ask how they think today will turn out.
今日の結果の予想のアンケート。Okay, please answer here. Who do you expect to win today? Seems to be 2-to-1 ratio.
So everyone thinks Cho, most people think Cho will win.
His yesterday's performance was quite impressive after all. He seems to be well prepared for the match.
Well, he has a plan anyway.
Yes.
It's usually best not to play that exchange.
Will this be a jump? Connection.
It's okay to play this, yeah, there. Usually it's bad because if black had, for instance in this case, if black plays this move, white has only half an eye, only a potential eye. Whereas
right.
after this exchange,
Has been made. White has one eye no matter
white
what.
already has one eye, so this would only take one of white's eyes away. It makes it easier for white to play like this to move out into the center. And of course, this would be, it would be forcing later also, so there was no reason to play it now.
Yes.
Otherwise, if black chooses to play this side, then it's probably about the same thing. White would probably play here anyway.
Yes.
So that would be a smaller difference, I suppose.
But of course, the exchange of these two moves again is.
It's a bit painful for black. Like
Yes.
black would not have had to play that way. If it was like this,
Yes.
this would be much better result.
I suppose once again we see the kind of the bot's kind of weakness for fixing local situations in a neat way.
Well, it would be interesting now to see black play the hanging connection here, which looks a bit strange, but it's maybe possible. I think white would just answer it here, though.
Most
Maybe
likely.
it's not that important.
So still. out
Still
that
black
one.
has to add this, which is
Yes.
again a bad shape.
White seems to
White
be
might
happy
even
to
just,
go out.
yeah.
Still with 2 whites remaining on the left side. So it played the solid connection, yes.
And if I was white, I would move out into the center,
Yes.
maybe with this move first. White doesn't really need to play that yet, though. Of course, white is alive if white plays here, so that would be easy.
Yes. It might be that with this kind of move, there could be danger later on the center. If black gets just a little bit stronger here, black might try to kill white off. But also this way, black's kind of connected.
White played the hane.
Now, locally speaking, if black answers...
White will, locally white will play on the first line.
Yes. Black didn't answer for the time being.
This is still not so bad for black because black has closed off the upper side. And white did start up with something that looked like a 20-point territory on the left side. And
It's gone to 4 points here.
that's 4 points. And
After defending
it's
maybe
hard
10.
to say. Yeah, maybe a few more points. If white answers, captures the one black stone, white will have more than 5, 6 points,
Yes.
maybe closer to 10 points. But it's going to be less than 15 points. And black still does have thickness in the center of the board. So black gained a little territory and is still continuing with the moyo in the upper side and
Many stones to
towards
the
the center.
outside.
Yeah. Let's have, yeah,
White
I think
answers.
white has to play something like that. And I would
Maybe
expect
if
black
there-
to play something around here. And so we can see it's sort of almost developing into a territory now. It's not quite a territory, but it's sort of
Yes.
getting there. And
White will have
maybe
to
white
split
will
that
play here,
side.
here, or maybe just the Sumari now. It doesn't really seem to fit the game though. It seems black might be playing
Might be.
more for a moyo.
If it's 10, it might consider trying to make a wall here.
And making a big moyo in the
Yes.
center. It's, in this game, it looks bigger than playing in the lower right corner. And white only has something like 40 points now to counteract that. So even just if the sides become territory, it's going to be
More
good
than
enough
that
for black.
already.
Yeah.
Yes.
And if white leaves the upper side, though, it's going to be dangerous because white doesn't really have eye shape now.
It actually does seem.
It looks pretty dead, doesn't it?
Yes.
So white needs to put a stone in there.
It's a forced move. So, well, this one's not existing.
He might be trying to decide between this move, which is normal, and a move like this that takes a bit more space.
Black answers this one. Maybe it's possible to.
I think it would still be a bit
Necessary
painful
to-
if black plays here.
Yes.
So yeah, maybe coming back here.
Yes. So compared to previous, it's well.
A bit more territory. But of course
Maybe it became all territory.
it
now.
makes black stronger on the outside. So there's a negative aspect to
Yes.
And in this opening, white's live groups don't really have that much territory. Like white has a total of This is big, but it was big already. White has a total of something like 35 points, I think.
Yes.
And it looks like black will be able to get most of that back on the left side, on the upper side of the board.
Right.
And so this move is forcing.
Black will be answering.
And white has to play something on the upper side after
Yes.
all.
Chikun finally started talking as well.
Mm-hmm.
Might it be that he's feeling slightly uncomfortable about the game now?
Well, I would if I was white.
Yes.
I just find it hard to believe he would play out here when it's such a large loss of territory.
Yes. He seems to be lost. He played the game, huh? Did you make out what Chikun was saying?
I'm not sure. Are we still? Well,
Wait a minute, go.
we're still alive, I think.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm expecting this. I'm not really sure what Chikun was saying.
I think I heard something about Benchy.
I don't know.
Maybe somebody in the audience heard. That's an interesting timing again.
It just likes to play forcing moves.
Yes.
White's going to answer that. Yes.
Oh. Is there any reason to play this one instead of this one?
Well, the number of co-threats is
It's still the same, isn't
it's the
it?
same. Yes.
White can defend with one of these.
No,
by
actually,
making moves.
usually, if black starts with this one
Ah, it's one different actually.
and this one,
I see.
but white can answer that way.
Yes.
So it is the same. It's the same in any case.
Now difference is
There's
this
two.
diagonal might be forcing.
Yeah. In this game, that doesn't really make much difference.
Yes.
So I guess it's okay. And I guess black could move to the right side also in this game. At this
Center point
Yeah.
seems big over there.
Yeah. The covering
So-
there is forcing.
Yes. It does like the forcing moves, all right.
And white has a choice here of playing on the third line to capture the black stone. This is the normal shape, but it does leave, after black plays here next.
There seems to be
Yes,
weakness,
there's a weakness there. Like this would be not alive.
even assuming white has a stone here.
Mhm.
But
Well, that would be here. So this isn't alive. I think even if white plays here, it's not alive, right? Black can probably,
shouldn't be.
it's not alive. Yeah.
Yes.
So it's,
So,
So-
for eye shape, that one would be stronger.
that would be better territory, but of course black is getting stronger also.
Yes.
Oh, white played in the corner. It is alive. Maybe that's better as far as territory is concerned.
Black's outside did become just a little bit thicker as well, though.
Yes.
There's the possibility of get an eye later.
If black connects, though,
Yes.
it does have a rather thin shape. And white would probably answer here to make
Yes.
11. That's alive. And there's some... It is a bit thin, the way black is connected
Yes.
underneath it.
This cut might be annoying
Yes.
later on.
So, yeah, this is better as far as territory is concerned. And now black can change to the right side.
It seems like there could be many interesting moves to play around this time.
Well, the solid move would be to play here.
Yes.
And it's pretty close to black territory. Like if black plays here, then it's
Right.
pretty close to territory.
Take the middle point, and it's more like making a big moyo all around the board.
But since these stones are fairly strong, I would be tempted to play on this side.
Yes. Would you like to make a questionnaire here for next black
Sure.
move?
Oh, black played here. This is good. He's already played.
Oh, that was too close.
Zen has already played. We could ask for the next white move, but I'd have to
Yes.
make some guesses.
You will probably have a few minutes for Chikun to decide the move.
Okay. All right, let's make some choices. I guess something normal would be a white move somewhere on the right side.
Some kind of
And they say
splitting.
you leave room to have an extension on each side.
Yes.
So this would be a very orthodox move. But of course, Chikun likes to play unorthodox moves. So he might play something more like this. So why don't you choose some moves to the upper side? Oh, he's played already? Okay, we didn't get to do that one.
Oh, he was really
Yeah,
fast.
yeah.
Sorry, we'll try again.
They're playing. This is not really orthodox since white is sort of worried about the moyo on the right. Black can answer this like this, and it becomes more and more difficult for white to invade the right side.
Yes.
So we didn't get to do a questionnaire on that move. We might try again. Yeah.
Try now?
It didn't really work yesterday. We could try. Where do you think Zen will play?
Now we probably like have half a minute of time.
Oh, Zen is actually pretty quick, isn't it?
Yes.
Well, we could this move, or two moves that I would think of. You have to find somewhere else. And D could be
Should I take
every other
territory
move.
over here, or
Just say
D
that's
could
any
be
other
some.
move.
D is anywhere else.
Yeah. So why don't we ask you what you think black should do? A would be, I think, is the most normal move. This would be a bit more aggressive, making a wall to build the territory. And C
sorry.
would be territorial-wise.
D is missing right now. Ah, yes. Oh. Oh, Zen is playing already. As expected. Now with this one, I suppose A will be quite big. Yes?
A was popular. Very good. Yeah. And that was the move that was played.
Yes.
I don't think we should do very many more of those unless we get some extra time. So this is the most normal way of playing. I agree with this. And the game is sort of running away with. Actually, black is still thinking about this move. But I get the impression that Zen is basically allowing itself 1 minute or something like that for
Yes.
each move. And so it's playing at a fairly steady pace.
In the previous game, just a few times, maybe 2 or 3 times, it thought for a longer while. But even then, it's not like 5 minutes or anything. And also, instant moves don't seem to exist. Yes, it takes 20-30 seconds, then plays it. Do you think black will play the usual move here, or maybe try to make the moyo bigger?
Oh, you mean with something like this? Or
That is
something
one
like
of the moves I was thinking about, yes, or extend.
Black does have a lot of choices here just because of the great scale of this moyo. But
I suppose this requires white to answer.
white would usually just answer here.
Yes.
Let's see, how much territory does white have now? I
Lower
guess
side
white,
became 20 points bigger.
yeah, so it's about 40 points there. So white has something like 50 points in all. And it's black's turn. So black might play once here. This is usually going to be sente.
Then perhaps take the middle point to prevent an invasion, or
Here?
somewhere there. So now if white invades the corner, black will get all the center moyo. That would seem like a small area finally for white to play in.
I'm not sure how black would fix this bit. Maybe this way.
I see.
White lives, and then black can play something in the center. And if I was white, I would have trouble finding any way to get into this.
Yes.
So that would make it something like 50, 60 points just in this area alone.
And some
black
more on
has
the
too
right
much.
side.
So yeah, so I would, this looks pretty hopeless for white.
Yes.
Of course, Chikun is known for invading moyos like that
Yes.
look like territory.
It might be he's taking the game on that.
It reminds me of the time when he was playing title matches against Takemiya.
Yes.
And he was saying after the games that he was always way behind. But he was jumping into what people thought was Takemiya's territory.
And he could actually find
erasing
moves
the whole
too.
thing.
Yes.
Yeah. So Zen played this way, more directly making the moyo.
I somehow thought it might play it, but I'm not sure if it's any good, finally.
Someone was just asking if Zen understands Joseki. And I think it has seen Joseki and has played Joseki. So
Yes.
that's the Joseki moves are part of the patterns that make its knowledge.
Right.
But it's not restricted to playing Joseki. So
It can use many kinds of sequences that have been played in pro games, and it will try to use the ones that best fit the position.
yes, and basically the network system that AlphaGo used just plays moves that have apparently puts a weight on moves that have succeeded for itself.
Yes.
So they don't have to be Joseki moves. And actually, AlphaGo actually came up with a lot of new,
Interesting.
basically new
Ideas.
Joseki.
Some of which actually have seen play recently in top professional games.
Professionals use them too, yes.
Yes.
Professionals are copying some of those moves, even though we only had 5 games to start with.
Yes.
There are some of the moves that AlphaGo played against C-Cell that have sort of remained in the professional system. They've been established.
Yes. It will be interesting to see January's match, if we will get new moves from there. So white seems to invade. Is it below the star?
I think it
it's
might be
lower,
here. Yeah,
yes.
yeah. It's a bit. The board. The view of the board is a bit small. Have we lost the game room? I think we might have lost our view of the game room. 対局室は見えない。
左のスクリーンは
今見えないね。Oh, there we are. So
Sorry
there's
about
no
the
way
Japanese.
that this stone will die, but well, not usually anyway. But black can probably get some territory. Still, this is not territory yet, but it's on the way to being territory.
Right. Just one more move and we can see maybe 40 points almost. Well, 30 for the time being. Be a jump up perhaps.
I'm not so sure about this move though.
It seems like a good shape point, but probably the bot will not want to play that way because it lets white into the center.
Oh,
White
white
went
left
immediately.
This. Yeah.
I suppose this is very much like Joe Chikun.
Yes. Well, black he's giving black a difficult choice here. Black has a choice of playing on the outside or the inside. And after playing this move, it seems a bit submissive to be playing on
Yes.
the inside like this. Maybe something like this.
And somewhere around here.
Yeah.
So now this is definitely a good exchange for white.
It has become a good exchange, yeah. So black is sort of wants to play on the outside. Let's see, how would this continue?
Perhaps with a counter honey
Maybe
here. Try
that's,
to leave on
that's
the
one
upper
honey
side.
you could play, yeah.
Is this the attachment usually?
This kind of fight.
Yes.
This is something that actually, I think it could even happen. Yeah, something like that.
This actually might be the kind of way that
Could,
the
it
bot
could
wants to play.
happen, yeah.
White did play the honey already.
Okay, so it's up to this point.
Yes.
Otherwise, the normal joseki is connect, yeah. After which white would continue like this, maybe.
Yes. You can play honey. And this corner is
It's another ko-like
yes.
shape. Yes.
one move endgame ko, but there is a bad aji here for black cutting point.
This would be, I think this is fairly good result for white.
Yes. So it is Atarian connection.
Otherwise, black can connect here.
White goes once in the corner and plays Keima. Yes.
And try to, well, even try to kill it, you
Yes.
might say. Yes.
Actually, this kind of sequence has happened many times in Zen's games, the weaker versions. It would let white make this kind of low group, and it would actually go for the kill from the start. And most often it would actually work out, against me at least.
It's going to be a close thing, even if black
Yes.
plays like this.
Connect and then something like, how do we stop it?
Well, the next move is difficult.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was thinking somewhere around here, but there might be a weird kind of attachment technique. Probably that gets out.
And this looks like it gets out. But maybe just
Yes,
like this.
cap.
Yeah.
This might be close to dead.
Well, the game is progressed to this point. And of course, if black cannot kill this group, then it's going to be a gain for white.
Yes. In that case, white will just have caught up the game.
And on in the lower right here, they've left the position. But basically, this point and something like this or this are miai, depending on how weak white is.
Yes.
Like if, and against this move, white could even play here to ensure a connection.
Make some territory at the same time.
And we'll have more than 30 points on that side. So white has a total of about 40 points of solid territory. And so if this group lives, then black is now only a limited area where black can make territory. So it could be fairly close at least.
I think white actually has 50.
50?
Yes.
If I call this 35,
Yes.
more like 50 then.
Yes.
Yeah. Although it's still hard to say how much
Well,
this is.
true.
Yeah.
Depending on this cutting point here.
And so,
Black would have trouble getting that much in any case.
but I have the feeling that Zen will actually try to kill that.
Yes. Zen also seems to be taking a lot of time now, relatively speaking. Oh, actually, the time used as well. It's not so different.
Well, on the whole, Chikun is playing very quickly.
Yes, true. This is around, which move number is this? 60 or so? Bit more, 70. It's more like 80. Move 80. So black didn't make this exchange first now.
Without that exchange, it's much more difficult to kill white, actually.
Yes.
In this case, white, against a move like this, white will just jump.
And basically at any point, this move will be white's center.
Yes.
So white is more strongly out in the center.
So it makes it easier for white. I think actually, although it looks vulgar, it's better for black to play the exchange first. And then even if black is just trying to harass white,
Yes.
yeah, even in that case, it's better. So this was a bit a weak move as far as attacking is concerned.
Right.
So of course pushing is not a good idea now.
Now he
Oh,
played
now
it.
he played. That's not going to be forcing though. I think white will just jump here.
Yes. This seems impossible to stop now. Black might even have to worry about this cut later on
Well,
now.
eventually, yes.
It would be interesting to have the winning percentage here. Seems it's disappeared for the time being. Chikun is looking very serious at this point. Oh, composed maybe. And yes, actually Zen has used more time than Chikun.
Yes.
That is a first so far. Meanwhile, it's 67% in Zen's favor.
Oh, so it still thinks it's winning.
Yes,
Well, I think Zen started out with a fairly good opening
yes.
and took the lead in the fight in the upper left. But I'm not so sure about what's happening here in the upper right.
The latest sequence seems like it will go well for white.
But he's taking his time with this move. I think it's typical of Cho that he's aware that the computer can be surprisingly strong
Yes.
when you think it's making a mistake.
Right.
Sometimes, so
He's being careful.
when he thinks he's being lucky. He's careful in choosing his next move. Right?
He did play the jump. Mr. Takao is making the same commentary in the Japanese broadcast right now. That Black should first have played the bump here.
Right. Moves that are considered vulgar sometimes are actually, when you're attacking, they can be very effective.
Yes.
So since Black didn't have any damezumari or lack of liberties here to worry about, even if Black plays something like this, the cut here,
It would be no problem.
and White has exactly the number of stones on this line to not be alive. Like
6
White
die,
needs
8 live.
one more, and the capture of these stones here is fairly simple. Like there's no bad aji for Black to worry about, and so the fact that Black has filled a liberty here is not really an issue in this kind of thing.
Is this actually that Tesuji sequence?
Well, it's going to be, oh, that one. Oh yes,
It's actually
it does
4.
work. Oh,
So Black would
would
play
throw
once more at the right
maybe.
side.
Yeah. So yeah, in that case, yes.
In this case, there would be no trouble.
Correct. Yeah. So since this is fairly straightforward, Black doesn't have to worry about filling this liberty.
Yes. Which means that even though it is empty triangle, shortage of liberties, it's still okay. So Black played push and
Pushed through,
White
yeah.
answered.
Yes.
Yes.
And so White has a potential eye in the corner, and this stone is still a bit loose. Like White has forcing moves in the area.
Yes.
Any move in this area is forcing. So it looks like it's going to be difficult for Black to effectively attack here.
Definitely. In the Japanese broadcast, we are seeing some kind of moves here. Predictions for next move, maybe?
Yeah, there's a lot of Black stones on the board, so they're trying to predict the next move. Do you want to make a questionnaire then? Maybe we have time.
This could be interesting.
Yes.
Black. I suppose Black wants to try to attack this white group.
Yes.
I'll take for the time being.
Oh,
Oh,
he's playing already. And just we don't never get the time.
I suppose it's easier for Chikun. We can predict when he's thinking.
Okay.
Can we do the same for white?
Well, this move is sort of forcing, because black is threatening to cut through here,
Yes.
and this would be
That's one eye over there now.
dead, of course.
Yes.
So there's some bad odds, but well, it would be bad for white in any case. So white has to do something to connect up. Any move will connect white up. It's not really an interesting
Perhaps
place
not,
to
yes.
choose the next move.
There's not much. Let's
White
wait
has
for
a
a
choice
moment.
of something like this, which would be one way to do it.
Yes.
Although black would have the option of cutting white off now. So maybe it's better for white to do something like this or like this. This move it's not really attacking white very severely, but actually defending the black stones here. So I would expect something like this, and then maybe black would return to surrounding the right side. Something like this would be going for the territory here,
Yes.
or this would be more attack oriented.
Black might be able to swallow this white stone on a big scale. Which
Black
should-
has to.
Yes.
Black doesn't have any other space for territory, so
Right.
black needs to do that. Ah, そうだったんですか。 Okay, we're back now. So it didn't turn out like that. Chikun played here. This was a bit of a surprising move, to say the least.
Yes.
And white played here.
Attachment to which
to make life. Yeah.
black covered from the outside.
So it looks like the side group is going to live now. And black is going to surround it in the center. So the question is whether black can actually make the right side into territory, because black still needs to make some territory out of this eventually. Right. Let's see, where did they play? I think I heard moves being played.
Yes, we cannot see the board right now. The score should be visible in the Japanese broadcast in just a few seconds, so when that happens I will say it.
So white played here.
So that could mean this kind of move will later be black's center.
Yes.
Forcing. But now it seems like the talk is going to be about how well white can reduce this area on the right side.
Well, if we call this alive, and that's alive,
yes,
these three probably add up to about 15 points. And
that sounds about right, yes.
If we call it this is a bit thin, but more than 30 points. So it's,
yes.
White has something in the vicinity of 50 points now.
Yes.
Black doesn't have any territory, but has a bit here maybe. If we say the whole side becomes territory,
yes,
it's about 40 points.
right.
So taking this will bring the game fairly close, and of course black will have some extra territory sticking to the wall here.
Right.
So if this becomes about 40 points, then I think that the game is going to be close at least. If white can live with this stone and erase this area, then of course white would be ahead.
It'll be game over almost.
So, and this exchange is not on the board yet, but it's one. If black plays here, white plays here. This could also happen.
Yes.
Since black loses territory here,
he might play this kind of covering
white
move
loses
here.
territory here. So the territorial difference between this kind of thing and this kind of thing is probably not very big. They're probably similar as far as the territory difference here is. So it depends on how that works with the attack on this side.
This is also the kind of moment that white will want to think long, although it seems like he's playing already. Ah, black played a carry, that's why.
White played here. And then black played the Atari.
Yes. And so white connected.
Once black played that, black really needs another move there. I suppose this would be the...
Get the thickest shape locally.
And white is alive. Again, this is a forcing move that is generally best not played if black's not going to follow up on it. So
right.
A human player will automatically want to play the next move either way in this area.
As for GoBot, it just might not play here for the time being.
Sometimes it does that. Otherwise, it's possible for black to push through here, although the shape is bad.
Yes.
But for the time being, black can push through here.
And because also this corner is...
This is forcing against the corner. Oh, but black played the better shape. And so white will just live
crawl in the corner, yes.
Yeah.
As for Zen's point of view, now there's this kind of a wall over here, wall over here. It seems actually quite possible that it's viewing this center as a
territory.
Kind of black territory, yes.
But of course the meaning behind this move that Chikun played is that he's taking the extra points here and he's waiting to see how black will, like this is already a lot of territory for white compared to before. Like white might even be more greedy now with something like this or this.
Right.
So white has more than 50 points now. And so if black plays something like this, to solidly make this into territory, it's probably not going to be good enough.
Right, if I could jump around here, and for the most part, this center will be nothing now.
And so he's basically waiting for black to expand again, and then jump in, which is something that, a Chikun style that I saw a lot
Yes.
a couple of decades ago, I suppose. He doesn't do it
That's
so
very
much
famous, yes.
nowadays, but it's his typical strategy of erasing the moyo when most people would think it's already territory.
Right. Black played a forcing move. That is a clean loss in code threads.
Yes, these programs that use Monte Carlo don't really seem to worry about the number of code threads.
Yes, they're not going to play the ko in the first place.
そうだよね。いや、ここに目がこう行っちゃうもんだから。すいません。すいません。大丈夫ですか。字が小さいからまあ読めないと思いますが。大丈夫ですか。
Chikun was bothered that he could see the monitor, the PC.
I see, I see. Alright, the evaluation.
5番は見ても大丈夫。字は全然見えないですからね。5番がなんか見えたら参考図とか出るのか。出ません出ません。それで今の盤面しか出ません。そうですか。じゃあどうぞこちらへ。はい。字は全然見えますですよね。私でもきついぐらいで。カメラだからね。5番がこっち目線入っちゃう。見たらダメなの。はいすいません。
Would you like to explain what
Chikun
happened?
was worried that he would be seeing what the computer was thinking. But Mr. Kato assured him that the variations would not be showing on the board. And so, so they decided that there was no problem. You would have expected that they had ironed that out before the game, of course.
Right. Being able to see see the computer's options would be almost like hearing the opponent's mumbling.
Yes.
In a sense. The evaluation score is not visible right now. Still, I will keep a lookout.
Black is continuing with forcing moves. I saw AlphaGo playing forcing moves, and at the time I was wondering if it had a certain allotment of time that it allowed itself to play the next move.
That could be possible.
And so
if
they're
it
like,
didn't come up with a good move, it would have to play a forcing move to try it
to
for
get
a
some
chance.
extra time. Yeah, so it's a kind of a time-saving move.
It's very possible. Or otherwise, it's the weakness of the Monte Carlo system. Seeing a kind of good evaluation score for this kind of move that maybe white doesn't answer and just dies.
Uh-huh.
Because very often it would go through random moves.
Yeah. Losing Kothers can be pretty serious, actually, because these were both of these moves were pretty solid Kothres that Black could have used later in the game.
This kind of loss almost makes a ko impossible to play in this game.
Black still has Kothres against the upper left corner, though.
And perhaps
And
against
upper right.
this one, but
Black still has an advantage in Kothres, I think. Yeah. But Chikun has stopped here. He might even seriously be thinking of jumping out, but that would be dangerous.
that would possibly mean Black will get a wall over here.
Well, jumping out is already dangerous because another move would not really get white out of the net.
I see.
So white has to answer.
It would be.
Yeah.
Shall we show the audience just a bit
Oh yes.
for the fun? So Black would take an eye over here. White would play this kind of Kosumi, I suppose. And then even if White tries to, I suppose they play this.
Of course, it could be complicated.
This kind of peep, or the other one.
It's not going to work though. Black has potential eyes on the upper side.
Right.
It looks dangerous for white.
Just a little bit. The space is lacking here. So Black will stop in this fashion.
It looks dangerous, yes. And I'm not sure that it would be a profit for white even if Black answered it.
Right.
Because it would be closing up the moyo here.
It would actually help for this fight.
Yeah. So white did answer on the first line. Now the question is, how will Black expand his moyo? Like, Black doesn't really want to play a small move like this. Black would probably prefer to play something towards the center of the board, hoping to make this whole territory.
Sorry about
yes.
that.
But then the question is how white cannot allow this whole thing to be territory. So white will jump in and the final fight of the game will ensue.
Right. It could be possible it will still play this one.
That's forcing.
One more forcing.
Mm-hmm.
Now Chikun is using more time again. What would you say to that move?
Well, if black gets this moyo on this line, if territory on that line, oh, white connected. It's going to be fairly big.
Assuming Hane isn't... Is it like 50 points up to this line?
Mm-hmm. But of course, this kind of move is really big. So,
yes.
If I was black, I would start actually with this move.
Right.
And next, this is big, so I would expect white to be doing something on the...
Answering.
Yeah,
yes.
and depending on how white does that, that could actually change the way black plays. But if white plays something like this, then maybe a move like this.
Yes. White might be tempted to play a high move, in which case black also has more forcing moves in this area.
Or even if black plays here, there's the attachment here.
Right.
So I would prefer to have this kind of flow of stones. And to be honest, I think assuming something like this continues, it looks pretty dangerous for white to be trying to live inside here. I would be much more worried with white than I would be with black.
Probably
And
it's
so
hard to find life there.
If we have a black territory on this line, it's more like 50, 60 points.
Yes.
So that would be a win for black. But without this, in this position, black has to worry about white capturing these stones here.
Yes.
Which is a huge in-game move. And it looks like it's going to be fairly close, actually.
It does feel like a kind of a loose play.
Mm-hmm.
It's adding stones in the center, but leaving many kinds of shape problems for later on.
Mm-hmm.
So now again, black still would have chance to play here, but perhaps the...
Chikun is still hoping for a counterattack of some kind, I think. Because, of course, these black stones cannot make two eyes now. So moves like this, or even a move like this, for instance,
I see.
put some pressure on the black group.
Yes.
And he's sort of hoping to use that to break into this moyo.
And in case black actually answers this move, then white has made the center smaller. There is now a way for white to enter from this side. And with moves from this side as well, the line is not going to be bigger than this one.
He might want to try to define that line and just save this move for the last big move.
Yes. In which case, it might be a close territorial contest.
This kind of game is very hard to count the territory.
Yes.
Because there's no way to be sure of what line will be the black territory. Like it looks like this, something like this will. But if black gets this not unconditionally, it'll just be too much territory.
Right.
So white has to try things to chisel it down at least.
At least make black add some moves while white takes a profit elsewhere.
And black has not played here yet.
Yes.
Black played this
Played
one. Yeah, it's a
color.
similar meaning. More aggressive though.
That's a push and...
At this point, pulling back would actually be bad aji. Would be worse than not playing anything. Because is that going to be safe?
For the time being.
But I think this is just too much bad aji.
If this one, then white will extend and it will all disappear.
It all disappears. So black plays here. Just covering that side is more important.
Even for this one, white's Hane is...
Black will cut. White cut first. I think black will probably want to extend on this side.
In this case, I'm actually a little bit wondering if this exchange is good for black or not. Was it not better just cover?
Well, it's potentially more territory, so
Yes.
white doesn't have the option of starting to the end game yet.
Right.
White has to do something, make some
Do
use of
immediately.
this stuff. Yes.
And in the meanwhile, many moves around here will be now white center. So white, I suppose white will try to. Well, it's going to be a fight from now on. It seems like.
I think if everything goes sort of as planned, it still looks like black's Tomoyo is a bit bigger than white's territory.
Yes.
And so it looks like white is trying to find a chance to start something.
Right. Make the moyo smaller and catch the wind there, basically.
And this is a point in the game where actually, even if black plays elsewhere, it's not immediately going to fall to pieces.
Right.
So black has the option of all sorts of options. But white is going to try to accomplish something right in the middle of the board here.
These kinds of situations actually, bot players are very strong in these. They will search through many kinds of variations that they can just fix a bit easy kind of result with thick shape. Play Atari, so white has no choice but to answer.
Probably
and then play some
follow
line
up
of
here.
yes, some line of play that forces a white answer but doesn't leave any easy option. And the percentage is still not visible. So Chikun is entering deep thought over here.
Why don't we try some... It's really hard to
I see.
choose moves for him, though. We could try a questionnaire here. I don't think he's going to play immediately.
Turn here
One
would
move,
be the most
turning
normal
here,
shape.
Yeah. Otherwise, the Hane here,
Try to look for some kind of a shortage of black liberties.
it does have bad shape.
Yes.
So I would put these two. Can you think of any other moves? Do you have the other two?
Oh, yes,
songs
sorry.
there? Yeah. Why don't you choose one, and then we can have the D mean the...
Let's have something
all the other
interesting for
possibilities.
amateur players, such as
Maybe
trying
something like
this
this.
kind
Yeah,
of
yeah.
attachment, yes.
So let's have people choose from A, B, C, and any other move.
Well, in case any other move, okay.
D はその他で。
Yes. Questionnaire
This C
incoming.
here is a move that sort of looks like it could actually work. So it's something I would be thinking of.
Right. A is Hane and B is turn. And D is anything else. C has a lot of popularity, it seems. A and B about equal.
Anything else is actually a small percentage. That's
Yes.
interesting. There's all sorts of moves actually that can be played in this position.
Any kind of
I sort of
forcing
like
move.
this move, but I don't really have any solid idea of what's going to happen next.
Yes, I don't have confidence to play it out. It looks interesting, but
But it looks like it could still combine with a move like this or a
Yes.
move like. Actually, cutting here and
Then turning,
turning
yeah.
around is also another option that white has.
so if black comes out, then white has many more pushing moves here.
And having one attachment here would sort of open up some space here for white.
Yes.
So it's something that
This kind of
would be
shape later on
tempted to
for
play.
making eyes.
okay, white played the cut. So it was something else. But I think this cut is probably going to be, usually the Tetsuji is here, but it's not going to work in this case because black's so solid
Right.
in the top. So that's just not going to work. So in this case, white is planning to play here anyway. So the question is whether the cut, it's better to have the cut in there or not.
So in case the cut was not played, the question is if
Black
black
would
would
probably
connect.
connect, yeah. And then white would have no more forcing moves.
Yes, in this case, this might be a territorial loss, but when black goes out, push here,
And
and
white
so on.
looks
is
like
sent-
white can push his way out.
Yes. Even for this kind of obvious move, then still use like 30 seconds. Black is 65% now, white 35.
Okay. So it really hasn't changed very much throughout the middle game.
Yes,
I think there was a point where it was something like 67 or 68.
68 was the highest one, I
Yeah.
believe.
Oh, it's gone back to 68 now. And I think that must be showing the moves that it's thinking of.
Yes.
But of course, B is the most natural move.
I wonder if these are by the order of winning percentage.
I think it might be what the AlphaGo would call the policy profile, the policy
Ah.
network. So it's the first stage of its thinking.
I see. And then it could do Monte Carlo and valuation and so on. Playing a cap here would certainly give white some space to make eyes in.
Well, yeah. Usually, allowing the ponnuki there is a bad idea.
Yes.
But it is worth calculating whether black can kill white, of course.
Yes. If not, then this will just be an empty move in the center. Ponnuki 30 points, yes. If black now just keeps on extending, white will easily get out.
But of course, in this variation, it can still be close in territory
Right.
because black will be forcing from this side.
Still, white doesn't get so cleanly out. There should be no territory in this region. And at the same time, it seems like black has closed white off from this line.
Yes.
So
And
that's clean.
sort of expecting this to be territory.
Yes.
And this is going to be reduced a little bit. So white might be below 50. This is if this becomes territory, like if black has eventually puts a stone in here, this is going to be about 50, I think.
Yes.
So
With some extra over here, that might be just a bit difficult for white.
So that would be black's strategy at this point. I think once black's extended, that would be. Oh, but he didn't.
Now he
Then
played.
played this. Now he played there. That's interesting.
Well, he's following the proverb of adding one stone and then sacrificing.
But not necessarily sacrificing it. We don't really know whether he's going to sacrifice.
そっちが名誉名人1時間使いました。1時間です。
Well, the normal way for white to continue would be this way. And maybe black pulls back.
And then if there's a sequence, well, anything around here should be forcing it. But it's still not quite out.
Not quite out, no.
So black would this.
So if white doesn't like that, white would try something on the like
Yes.
the attachment here. Maybe
So
not
now-
so much difference though. Now white can capture the two stones. But does white have two eyes?
Seems like it will become complicated in this fashion. The extension, I suppose. Then Hane there. It's very close to a live shape. Is black just about fine?
I think
Unless
so.
there's something here.
Yes.
Doesn't it seem like much? So we should still expect Chikun to think a lot here.
Maybe.
Would you like one more question there?
Sure. Well, my first idea was here.
Yes.
Second idea was here.
I was also thinking about third attachment here.
Here.
Yes. What I was
Okay.
reading a little bit was if white plays here, black has the option of just extending here, and then I wasn't sure if white gets cleanly out. So in this case, if black goes to defend around here, white might have a little bit more space in this area. But it's also very difficult to read.
Okay, we'll use those three moves. This one, and this one. And D can be any other.
Anything else? Yes. I think it'll be some time until Chikun plays his move here. I'm sorry, there's no such as E. A and C are equal, B is a bit lower. But quite even all around.
Quite even all around. No one knows what the best move is.
Yes.
Well, I don't know what the best move is.
Yes. It's a very difficult
Yeah,
situation.
I think it's difficult for white, basically. Very difficult for white to make Sawaki.
Yes.
But it is the kind of position that Chikun gets into a lot.
And which he's good at.
He's usually good at it, yes. And of course, when he was the top player in Japan, he was exceptionally good at it.
Yes.
Sometimes he gets killed nowadays. Yeah, so maybe not as good as he used to be.
Maybe with his age, his reading has become a bit slower. Or he's still a really good reader, though. By the ELO ranking in Japan, Chikun is still like number 15 or...
Is that so?
Yes,
Oh.
or almost at 10th place. At his age, that's something that's very impressive. So Takao is also predicting the attachment.
So we do a variation then? Let's see. I guess it would be this way.
Yes, and black would have to connect there. And white also seems to have to go out. There is no time to play any kind of forcing move, I suppose.
And that's another difficult question. And I think black plays here.
white tried some move around here, I suppose black covers immediately.
Mhm.
It's a kind of white group, but there's no white space. Oh, sorry.
Maybe white would just bump against.
Ah, I see. Then combining with this Hane or that move.
Maybe just here.
Yes.
This might be more difficult to kill. It's not alive yet. I'm not really sure what potential white has on this side.
Yes.
I would be very worried if I was white, actually. It looks like it's
Somehow
possible.
that is the feeling,
yeah.
yes.
It looks like it's possible for black to kill it, even if black plays something like this.
Yes. It might still be that it goes all the way around here and...
It's even dead if black plays something on the outside, right? Because black can cut and extend here.
Ah, yes. Right, none of the eye-making moves work, so...
So this looks...
That's better.
That means white will not play that move,
Yes.
but in either case it looks dangerous for white.
If white starts from playing Hane, is it any different in that case, though?
I think still black plays here.
It doesn't seem like there is a way.
So yes, I think it seems good for white to go after these two stones, but yes.
Also, then the right side is going to be a big territory. And at least this area will get destroyed for sure for white.
I don't even see how white lives, so
Yes.
it's dangerous for white.
Mr. Takao is... Well, he's looking at the same variations. Is he predicting a cut to this Hane? Should there be an Atari first?
He needs to have the Atari.
Yes.
It's too big. I mean, the two stones can be sacrificed sometimes, so white needs to do something like that. And of course, the meaning is that white can combine here
Yes.
to capture three stones, which would be pretty close to a live shape, I think.
Black covers. And let's say black goes for the maximum. See here. Connection here is going to be Sente
Yes.
for this area. And if black again goes for the maximum kill, this is starting to be really doubtful. It feels like this will make an eye, one way or the other.
Well, I can play moves, but I don't really know what's going to happen. Yeah. But since white does have the forcing move here,
Yes, and black has to watch out for
yes,
this cut.
yeah. Maybe this looks dangerous for black, I guess.
Yes.
If black plays this way, I suppose white would play like this.
Low Ponnuki and then maybe a jump. Well, but if white attaches, it's still...
Even this black has the potential
Yes.
capture. Yeah. It looks difficult for white, even in this variation.
Somehow, yes.
Black is already gaining a lot with the Ponnuki here.
My first instinct would be to go out, but in that case black can just go back. Oh wait, is that still difficult? Connect. Well, that has to run out, but probably it's not going to work out for white. There's too many. White is too busy all around. So if white has to capture here, black connects, and that's an extermination.
Black could even connect first, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah. I find it difficult to find any good variations for white.
This kind of position, after all, seems to be the sense one of the stronger points.
I suppose we'll just have to wait and see what he plays.
Yes.
Okay, we're back. Yeah. So he played the Hane. This is forcing locally, and maybe it's a good idea to play it now, just to see how black answers.
Right.
If black doesn't answer, white can play here and cut here. Maybe playing here first. And this looks bad. Well,
Assuming
yeah, maybe that. Yeah.
here. So now black has a cutting point here.
And so this would isolate the black group here, which has, let's see, 5, 8, 9, for the time being, nine liberties. So white's going to lose the semi so far, but it means that white can, when white extends liberties by doing
Some
stuff in
forcing
this.
moves.
But of course, in this variation, white has played 2 moves in a row.
Right.
Yeah, so that's not going to happen. But locally, black really needs to answer that move. And so in some of the variations, I was answering this way, and in some of the variations, black wants to answer this way. So there's some meaning for white to be playing this now to see how black answers. I think black played here.
That is also a very powerful looking move.
Mm-hmm. But white can actually cut black off in this
Yes.
variation. Let's, for instance, after this
Assume this
and this.
So now if this happens again, white would connect, black has to come
Right.
back.
Or otherwise, if
Yes.
black plays this way. And for the time being, this is not going to work for white. Not only does black get, this is forcing for black, but these 4 stones do not have very many liberties.
Right.
And
White has
so-
to respond here, but then black will just capture.
And
So for
black still has about 8 liberties at least here.
Yes. For the time being, black seems to be fine with that sheep.
So white needs to prepare for this kind of thing by extending his liberties somehow. So it would probably end up being this move, I think.
Right. Do you think black might possibly go for the kill directly? Is it too much bird potential?
Let's try that one. Maybe not. Sorry about that.
Ladder goes directly for white, it seems like.
Oh, it's a good ladder for white. That's good.
If this stone didn't exist here, white might be in big trouble.
I think just here.
Yes.
Even if black was planning to sacrifice these 2 stones,
It's still not
it
easy for
makes
white.
sense to play on the side.
Yes.
Yeah.
So apparently Chikun was not expecting this peep, because he's back to thinking now.
Yes. Well,
But it is a surprising move, no matter how you look at it.
the way black answers this Hane really does change how white can continue. So
Yes.
it's sort of worthwhile for white to be testing black's response here.
Right.
But I still don't see any good solution for white.
And as long as there isn't a good solution, it's going to be a hard game.
Yes, yes. Well, if this group dies, usually white loses,
Yes.
unless white can make some kind of trade to the right side.
White would have to find some way to at least destroy this area.
Or
make more
maybe
territory.
live with this stone by creating some kind of confusion.
Yes.
Like I still sort of like this move a little bit, but I don't really see how it's going to work though.
Right. Possibly.
White just doesn't have enough room to work with.
Right. Especially with this move in place,
Yeah.
most of the eye potential in this region has disappeared. And yes, at the same time, Chikun's mumbling has returned.
Well, when he does this, it's very easy for his opponent to sort of get careless, thinking that the game is just about over.
Yes. My position is now good. I just need to do and win this game, finish it
But
off.
yeah, it's very dangerous to think that way, though.
Yes. For the person asking just now, I think the life and death of these 4 stones will decide this game. And it's still very hard to say what will happen. I'm sorry, we will only answer questions in English, so please translate your question. It seems like Joe Chikun is regretting his move now. Is it this one or one of the earlier?
It's very hard to tell, actually.
Yes.
Like going back to this position, it looks like White still has a lot of options.
Right.
Like White could have played maybe here. If this move doesn't work, maybe White should have tried something more between this line.
Yes. To break the black connection and maybe...
With the potential of erasing this side instead. Like if Black does it this way.
Yes.
It looks like White can have some potential to break in here maybe, or do something like this.
Yes.
Even in this case, it's sort of difficult to find a successful diagram for White, but it looks like White has some potential
There
here.
could be more. Yes. The situation in the game has become the kind of difficult one-way street.
It's pretty simple in that White has invested a lot in the center here.
Yes.
And so White has to find something, basically, something to do with these 4 stones here. And it looks like it's difficult for White to squeeze out of this.
Yes. I suppose White would like to sacrifice them in a way that he can get some kind of exchange breaking into the Black's territory.
Originally, White would like to do that.
Yes.
But
that kind of line
difficult.
doesn't exist.
Yeah.
White did play the attachment finally.
And Black will probably answer
Yes.
underneath.
Yes. So Chikun is wondering if there isn't a good move.
At least that's what he's saying.
So here we can see what Zen thinks will happen next. It's still running through the simulations, so the moves are changing a little bit. All of those seem to be the moves that we were considering, or otherwise not usable moves, such as this other over here. In which case, white is indeed in trouble still, as far as we could see.
Well, white does have the cut here, which is still not going to work, but I think white really wants to aim to be cutting here at some point. And the question is, since it uses one move, it's gote.
Right.
So after this, black has about 10 moves, 10 liberties. Although it could get a bit shorter if white throws in here.
Throws in then, yes.
It's still about 10 moves. So white needs 10 liberties. And at this time, white only has 4. It could easily get to about 6, but it's a bit difficult for this to become a 10 liberty group.
Yes.
So
white would have to make these kinds of exchanges first.
maybe if white captures those 2 stones somehow. Like there's the potential for white to capture these 2 stones if it works out well. In which case it could be closer to 10 moves, 10 liberties.
Right.
And then this would become possible. So this is, I don't really lean towards playing this exchange, which would allow black to connect up with this.
Which would just
And this
about
is completely
remove all
connected.
the trouble.
Yeah, so this would be, unless white can make 2 eyes with something here, which is a bit far, it's an option depending on how this develops, but it's pretty far away.
Yes.
So I think white's real hope is to have this cut here. It's after extending his liberties.
Yes.
So I would continue maybe with something like this. But I don't really see how this is going to work exactly, but like something like this to make an extra eye here. Let's see, how many liberties does white have now? It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. White's still in the cut
Maybe
here. It would be 8. 8 plus maybe an extra liberty, so maybe 9.
With 9, if it's
not
black's
enough.
turn, yes, it's still not quite
White
enough.
still loses the semi. So white needs something a bit extra, which is going to be very difficult.
Somebody is asking if it is normal to think for 2 hours.
It has happened. I think there was Takemiya who...
At a large avalanche variation.
he spent a lot of time on one move. That was about
Was it
3
4 or
hours.
5 hours?
No, at least 3 hours.
At least 3 hours for sure, yes.
Yeah. And there was a famous game between Fujisawa Shuko and Kato in which Fujisawa Shuko, I think, spent about 2 hours, was it, at least?
I see.
It was one of those Chinese opening games, and Shuko was going after a group of Katos.
Oh, it's that big one. That one where he killed a big group of
He killed a
Katos
big
on the
group,
right
yeah.
side.
And
So
I
he
forget
read it all
exactly,
out.
yeah. I'm sure that there's someone watching who can correct me, but I don't really remember exactly how long he thought, but I think it was probably over 2 hours.
One of my more interesting experiences was that I was recording a game, and the black player on his first move used 90 minutes, or was it 80 minutes?
On his first move.
On his first move.
That's a waste of time.
Yes. Yes. Then he played a star point in the upper right corner.
Oh, yes.
He was just sitting in front of the board all the time.
Meditating, maybe.
Possibly. But he was actually a quite young kid, maybe 16 years old or so. That was surprising.
Well, nowadays, since the time limits have become shorter, like in the old times, there was a period where even in the preliminary tournaments, people had something like 6 hours apiece.
Ah,
And so the game would end in the the early
Middle of
hours
night.
of the morning. Yeah.
2 a.m. perhaps.
And top the round robin leagues had something more like 8 or 9 hours.
And
so,
that is supposed to be, there's no Fujite, no shield move, right?
There was a time when they took two days, I think, but even
Oh.
when they had it in a one-day game, I think they had something about, I'm not very sure, but it was about 8 hours, I think, at some point.
That is a lot.
Yeah, and so the games went very late.
That kind of game might be over at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. Well, in that kind of game, it's okay to, I think you have plenty of time to spare, and people could use an hour or so on a move.
Yes.
Nowadays, most of the Japanese tournament games are with just 3 hours
Right.
per player, which means that most players try to finish the opening in at least an hour and leave some time for the end game, because
That is usually the
middle
case,
game
yes.
fighting usually takes up an hour because you have so much complication.
But in my game recordings, quite often actually, around move 100, one of the players will be in Byoyomi.
Well, there are always players who like to use a lot of time.
Yes.
Especially in Japan. Whereas I think in China and Korea, they actually have shorter time limits.
Yes.
Maybe 1 or sometimes 2 hours.
I heard this 2 hours is actually on the longer side.
Yes.
Over there. Some players like Otake Hideo, I think, for example, almost doesn't use any time during his games.
He's a fairly quick player usually, yes.
Yes. His games might end at 1 o'clock, for example, in the afternoon. Whereas usually it goes for 5 p.m. at least.
When I was a younger player, and I was about, I think, 5 dan in the Japanese professional system, I was allowed to play for America. And at that time, there was the Fujitsu World Championship, and I was playing for America, so I was playing some games against Japanese players.
Right.
And when I was playing against Otake, he was spending most of his time walking around the room.
He was interested in watching the other games, I
Yeah,
suppose.
as soon as I played a move, he would reply. And in retrospect, he wasn't really winning the game very easily. And there was parts of the games when I was ahead, actually. But he didn't spend any time thinking about the game at all.
That's interesting. So his character hasn't changed so much.
Even when he was taking titles, I think he was a quick player,
Right.
relatively.
I had the image that Fujisawa Shuko was that kind of player as well. He told people to play faster and
Well,
usually
especially young
advocated.
people. But in the title matches, he did use a lot of time.
yes. Chikun is still very much deep into reading. Oh,
Okay, maybe we should do a variation of black trying to save the 2 stones, because I think that shows some more potential for white. In this variation,
sedentary. This case, white will get quite a lot of space on the right side. Well, assuming black saves that stone, which will be sent. Now white had this connection for all of this potential over here.
I'm not sure. And let's say black plays like this.
Yes.
And now the connection is forcing.
Yes.
So this is starting to look promising for white.
Because a capturing race that way if white goes.
Wait, maybe in this case white should play
all
this
the way
way.
here, yes.
Yeah. This is actually looking pretty good for white, because
This
white
actually,
can
white is
continue
out.
to cut here. Now let's see. How
Isn't
many
white
liberties?
out just by this?
Oh, white's out already. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that would
Yes.
maybe sacrifice the corner. I'm not sure.
True. If the corner gets captured this way. So white might want to try this way.
That looks like white's going to win the semi.
Yes.
Black only has five liberties. Yeah. So, so this kind of thing would be dangerous for black. However, I think black should still be counting on sacrificing those two stones.
That should be the more promising way here.
For instance, when white pushes through here, it's probably better for black to just cut here. It's still complicated, isn't it?
Somehow, yes. Assuming we use. So unless black does something, the white has 1 centi here, and then he can make I. So that will happen. White should want to cut. Yes. So now black has an escape route here. How is this for this cut now?
Nine moves.
White has 10.
No, only nine
Oh no.
moves. And so it's a 1 move difference, maybe. Well, assuming this, black has 9, right? So white only has 8. So black wins this by 1 move. So it's pretty close now. This is actually the most complicated variation we've got into so far. All we need is something slightly better for white.
I suppose that is what he has been reading all this time.
Maybe.
White did play. So black played cut and white has played kake. Yes.
White did not push through here, I suppose.
Yes.
White played here, black answered here. Black answered the hane here. White played here, black played here.
Yes. Then black
I guess
cut.
white jumped.
It's black. Oh yes. This order. Yes. Yes. Right.
I don't really understand what white is trying to do here.
It seems like he's having less and less space to move around it.
I think this was the better bet for white, though. And if black escapes here.
In our earlier variation, this stone wasn't there, was it? Were we missing this one?
Were we?
It was out here, cut there. There.
Oh, I see. Oh no, because then I played here.
Yes,
and
you
here.
connected, but this one was not here.
It wasn't there, okay.
So that was a 1 liberty difference.
That was
there.
a difference, yeah. So that was the wrong, incorrect diagram.
So white was still in trouble in that. Well,
I suppose so.
in that case, there may have
white
been.
was in trouble anyway. So he played here, and there's a black stone here.
And then black cut.
And white jumped. So now white sort of connected up to the right side, but white doesn't have any eye space to speak of.
Yes. And black shapes don't have almost any weaknesses.
Well, there's still this here.
This one.
There's this here. This would
well,
cut
true.
black off. So if white gets enough liberties, then this becomes a real danger.
Assuming black plays something like cut here.
Right. Well, yeah, that's the question, because I don't see any space for white to make ice.
Yes. Well,
Black pushed through. This is also a reasonable move. Black is going to force this exchange first. And then maybe add a stone somewhere around here.
Yes. So now this wall becomes perfect here.
Yeah, that makes a difference in anything that white can try to do in this direction.
Right.
I just don't see how white's going to make a life.
We might be nearing the decisive moments of this game. If black can finish this skill, it's over. If white
Yes.
can live, then, well, it's going to be over the other
Probably
way.
over in that case also, yes. I think this is a time where white has to leave the center, few stones in the center, and try to make a life on the right side.
Possibly using the aji around this, running away still.
Well, maybe
Yes,
something
but
like
that's
this.
there. Then maybe attach once more.
All right, he attached here immediately. Yes, white has to try something like this, because saving these stones, it's more or less pointless now.
Yes.
And actually, it would have been better for black to play here, just to get rid of all the aji, and it would have had the same effect.
And
In
then
fact,
cut
it would
there.
have been better.
Yes.
Yeah. Pushing through here is maybe leaving a bit of aji.
Giving just a slight.
When stuff like
Chance.
this happens, there's a bit more aji of the extension here. But honestly, it still looks a bit. It still looks like white is in trouble.
Yes. Now we will get to see how Zen can handle this kind of fight. It's usually very strong at killing.
Cho was saying that he used to be able to live these kind of grips very easily, and I sort of agree with that.
Yes.
He's down to his last 20 minutes.
And meanwhile, Zen still has 1 hour. Zen has used just a little bit more than yesterday, I feel.
Mm-hmm.
If we're over of thinking time, well, after the time we can see here is over, there is still a chance to play every move in 1 minute.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't manage to play in that time, then you actually lose the game on time.
Nothing.
But this 20 minutes is not all that the players, Chikun has. So to bump, is it still this kind of move?
Mm.
An extension. Still looks pretty much hopeless.
20分とはひどいねと。
Cho Sensei was saying 20, well, basically he was saying that 20 minutes is not enough.
Yes. I like the sound of his voice. Seems like he's actually straining to find the right path to live. Zen's estimation is still only 64%. Which would assume that even Zen cannot still read this out.
Yes.
It's also very much possible that in just a span of 5, maybe 10 moves, it's going to be completely different now. As long as the shapes
Well,
get
if
fixed.
white can live, even now if white can make a life, then it looks like white has more territory. So
Yes.
it all depends on whether black can kill the entire group or not.
And the playing room is in Hotel New Otani, it seems like. I suppose it's one of the more famous hotels in all of Tokyo,
Yes.
which kind of explains the setting.
Trying to make more eye space there.
Black answered quite quickly. And the winning percentage went up by 2. in the AlphaGo match, when first 4 games had been played, Lee Sedol requested to play as black in the last game, right?
Yes.
Do you think Chikun will do the same way if he loses this game? Because he already won as white, he won as black in the first game,
Yes.
and the second game if Zen wins as black. Do you think he would let Zen play as black one more time?
I have no idea.
That would be interesting to see, I thought. If this game actually ends as a Zen victory. Solid connection.
And white can cut black off, but white is not really connected himself. And what's more, the black group can actually live if it needs to.
Right. These kind of emergency eyes over here help a lot.
Maybe not quite. Maybe it can't live. But it does have a lot of liberties. Yeah. This looks very desperate for white. Black will probably answer this one.
Even if it becomes capturing race, it doesn't seem like white can manage to. Well,
Black has
depending a little
about,
bit here.
yeah, well, once they're, in the process here, there's going to be a black stone here.
Right.
Which means that this is not going to work very well for
Yes.
white. Maybe one extra liberty.
And white also has to play quite a few stones just to get
Yes,
cutting stones
right.
out. He will not have time to push here as well.
And in the position here, white, actually this is kind of a key point after white cuts black off.
Right.
But white can play this first, depending on the tari here. Next white has the cutting point. So we can assume something like this. So
That makes the
if we
liberties quite
assume
a
this
bit
kind of
shorter.
shape.
Assuming this is here.
Then black has 10 liberties.
Right.
So there's no way this, and this is going to be something like this, and white's going to need the extra connection here. Even so, it doesn't look like white's going to have 10 liberties.
It's actually getting quite close when I look at it.
It still looks very difficult
Yes.
for white.
And also white just doesn't have time to play all the moves somehow.
It takes a lot of doing just to get that far.
Yeah.
So white connected. And the good Aji move is for black to just capture the one stone.
Right.
Oh, but black pushed through. This captures the white stones in the center, but they do have 3 liberties.
Which means that now the situation might change in the upper right.
So if white can cut off these 5 stones, then of course it would be a success for white. Like if black did this and white did this. It looks like it would be a ko at least.
Right, this way we can say white has managed something.
So
that
black
has
has
to
to
keep a
answer
stronger
here.
set there. That has to be.
Even so, it looks like it's a bit
Still not enough.
difficult to make eye space. Still difficult.
Yes. And also in some sense this fight has become a bit lighter for black maybe. Because he already captured these stones.
I think if white does manage to live here unconditionally, though, it would
still
be
enough.
it would be not bad. It would be a close game at least.
I suppose.
But you know, it doesn't. I don't really see how this can live.
Right.
And even if it's a ko, it would probably be bad for white because black has so many ko.
So many quadrats around.
Yeah.
Even with these losses here. Attachment it is.
It's good for white not to play the cut yet because it's always going to be a forcing move.
If, for example, a ko happens later.
And because of the fact that when white does something like this, there's still some aji here that white can count on.
Right.
So white's sort of hoping for a ko at least in this area.
Black
Wow.
peeped.
Peeped.
I cannot see any human player playing this move.
Oh, it's a strong move though. It's
Yes.
taking white's eyes. And let's see. The Tetsuji is to play here or to play here.
Maybe a touch. Black. Assuming black goes down. Then there.
This looks like white might have accomplished something.
But Zen did play it very quickly. It might mean there's some kind of still. So that's one eye on the right side. Black does have the peep here. So it's about this shape. Suppose capture. So that's an eye.
Looks like white might have managed to do something here.
It actually became a kind of center life.
So this is a success for white. But it's not. It's
Still not.
white got lucky here, I think. So let's go back. But at least I can start making diagrams with this kind of shit. It's a black is played in a way that gives white a lot of aji.
Yes.
Like for instance, if this move had been here, anything happening in this direction would have disappeared. Whereas with this, there's still some potential for white to make use of this stone
Yes.
with something like this. So it looks a bit. It's what we call bad aji. And the tetsuji is to play here.
To get the block in center.
Because otherwise, if white just plays here, then black can connect up underneath here, and this looks like it's going to be dead.
Right.
So playing here first sort of sets that up. If black plays here, even this might be difficult though.
With the peep existing and.
It's well
difficult to say what
complicated
will
at
happen.
least. Yes.
Perhaps black could play this kind of move first to try to force this connection waiting.
Yes.
But now there's definitely space to move around in.
Yeah,
to
it's
try
a much more
something.
complicated situation suddenly, because black did play a kind of a bad aji move,
Yes.
or a sequence of moves with bad aji, pushing through here
Yes.
as well. Okay.
As expected. Somebody asked if you have read Hikaru no Go.
Who, me?
Yes.
Oh yes, of course. I read it in Japanese.
All the way to the end.
I think so.
Same thing goes for me, of course. I suppose most professionals have read at least part of it.
Yes.
Hikaru no Go fans all around. Yes, so Joe Chikun has some maybe 6-5 minutes at this point until Gyoyomi. Connection.
And when black does this, now this move is not going to work very well, because black just plays here and can push through here. So white's shape is sort of falling apart in this case.
Right.
So in this case, white will
Little
push
bump.
bump against. Even playing here, this is
Still very
looks
bad
like it's
idea.
going to be forcing. Yeah. So here, here. This looks much more dangerous for white than before. But actually,
almost be
what
the same
happened?
line of plays before.
Peeping here. Maybe black should do it now, even though white can live underneath.
I suppose this cut should be big enough in that case.
This kind of trade looks like it might be good for black. Let's just take a count just to make sure.
Right.
I think black's going to win with this trade.
It seems that way. It's not too much of a difference, maybe 10 on the board.
Yeah, I
Nevertheless
think
enough,
black's going to win this one. Yes. But if it does, if it is sente, then now now white will not be able to make an either sente because
This shape has become a lot stronger. Yes.
this way. Oh. The wedge. Yeah, maybe the wedge. It is bad aji. It does look dangerous.
still a
for
bit
black.
hard.
Yeah. All because of this move.
Yes.
And maybe the kosumi here too.
It seemed like bump might have been easier.
Looks like white. Suddenly white has some hope here to make a life maybe.
Yes.
Well, Cho Sensei is thinking, but I think this is the only move he has to choose from.
Black also has a slight
Unless he-
choice of maybe
Yeah, unless white plays something like this first.
first.
Yeah.
Seems like it'll be the same sort of thing finally.
It would probably be a similar variation.
Yes. Still didn't play. Yes. So he did play the attachment first. Just as an idea, do you think black could go for compromise around here? Since white didn't play the bump now. Or I suppose here. Is this actually a compromise? It's still quite hard. I suppose it's a compromise. Take liberty. Oh, even like this. Yeah. So this move is forcing. But even then it is.
So this is a geta.
Yes. Or I
So that
suppose
doesn't
black could
work,
even
yeah.
push all the way.
Oh yes.
So it could be surprisingly severe, maybe.
Black played the hane underneath. But the same idea, I
Yes.
suppose.
Even assuming that white somehow gets out from here, and black has made all this territory, it should be the same kind of territorial situation as what we counted before, when this died and white lived here.
Well, it depends what happens on the lower
Yes.
side. But it doesn't look like white can easily get out, though.
Yes, there is no clean shape there. Black has climbed to 69%.
30秒です。
Did any of the observers so far see a 70% or more? Will somebody answer me?
I didn't see it go up that far.
I didn't see so far either. 69 is the highest I think we saw in any of these games.
55秒、58秒
Any commenters?
目になりました。
It looks like Chikun has run out of time. So he's in his overtime now.
Yes.
30秒、あと2分です。
I suppose none of the viewers has spotted a 70% either.
40秒、
Ah, he's going to bomb. Oh, that should be answered.
And so maybe it looks like white can make eyes.
30秒、あと2分です。
Assuming black covers, then it should be alive. If black went for the kill, then white would be extending out from here. But
Or-
this might still... I'll start from there, yes. That seems to be working. I know is it still a move loss?
It's not
That's a white
working.
win.
It's not going to win. This is interesting. Let's do the variation.
I think it works. So white plays here, black plays Atari, white connects. Unless there's a problem here, I see.
30秒、2分です。
Then it's a clamp, I suppose. That's a black win. Yes. Black
So
win.
black wins the semi because white cannot push.
Is it possible for white not to make this exchange and just play the clamp?
That looks like it could be a ko.
Using this Atari over here and...
So yeah, it is interesting.
If there's a call possibility there, then I assume that Zen will avoid it. We got into a
So-
different... it might be coming into the same kind of situation in the game. Seems in the game quite extended and black played this way.
So it is a similar position.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah. And this is the position now.
so I can still cut here.
Yes. That should be exchanged around here.
But this is not forcing anything.
Not forcing,
Well,
perhaps.
maybe it is forcing.
Supposing black answers, it'll be the same thing.
So it has to start with this side.
Well, this will be the same. Well, black has to play it, I suppose. But in this case, did white live? Yes.
Still dangerous for white.
Yes.
If white plays here, this will kill it.
Right. With completely no danger to black.
Oh, but he's already played the cut here. Okay. Let's see what happened.
I think white connected.
White connected. Okay. So we're like this, and it's like this, right?
This is not here, and this is not here.
And so white connected here. Then black cut. And so if white connects, black is probably planning to play this Atari.
He played it already. The upper one.
This one.
Yes. That is a dangerous line of play. This basically says that Zen read it all out. This time this point is open. No?
Yeah, it's open. So black's going to win the semi-axe.
Yes. This might be resignation coming up quite soon.
40秒
He's going to play Atekomi here.
50秒あと2分です55秒
Black has to answer this underneath.
Yes.
Oh. Maybe here or here. Or here.
Is there a problem with playing this one? Doesn't seem like there's enough time. Oh, he's going directly for the cut. That should be a counter here, I suppose.
Yes.
We are at 79%.
Oh, so
This
Zen
should be
is
over.
expecting to win now.
痛いね
Game is still going, but we are expecting perhaps expecting a resignation quite soon. Down to 75 from 79. Maybe it's no difference. So he's going to go down. Exchange Torre for connection.
Well, even if white manages to connect underneath,
Yes.
white only has 2 liberties here. So black's going to win the semi against the center stones anyway. And there's no way for these stones to live. So I don't see how anything could happen to save the white group now.
If this move was white center, there might be something, but it's not even. Black does not have
If
to
it was
answer
centered towards this side,
Yes.
there was a point where there was something.
Yes.
So in this game, just to recap a little bit while we're waiting for the end,
Right.
which I'm expecting fairly soon. The game started with a fight in the lower left, in which white did start the ko and seemed to be fairly successful. I think it was about even, maybe.
Yes.
And black was going to build a moyo in the center, and white had some territory on the left side. I think the game started going sour for white when white allowed black to erase the white territory there, and white was still under attack. So against the clamp here, when
Yes.
white pushed out, was
And black was able to cut the white territory and make white into 2 kind of weak groups.
an attack. And in the end, black did have a big moyo here.
Yes.
And I think that was basically a huge loss for white. And so after that, the game was always difficult for white.
Yes.
And
White was trying to take it into a final life and death match.
a life and death match, and it turns out that it seems that Zen was pretty good at killing.
Yes.
Because although white can connect underneath here with a ko, with this move. So this is a ko locally, but even
Black
if white
doesn't have to.
white has to cut here first.
Yes. White actually played that one already.
Oh, okay. Oh, so
This
yeah,
way.
it's black's turn right now.
Yes.
So black's going to answer that. Uh-huh.
This, I suppose, black doesn't have to answer. If black captures the 2 stones, that should be. Or even this
maybe
one.
he doesn't have to answer it. Right, yeah. Black could capture this
Yes.
side. Or black could answer it. Doesn't make any difference.
Yes.
Because if white does live here, underneath, even though that's a ko, it doesn't make any difference because white only has 2 liberties here.
Right.
So black has a number of choices that all of them will kill the white group.
Perhaps capturing this one is the easiest, so black connects everything.
There's a lot of moves.
That will work out.
Quite often a pro would say black can play anywhere, which is not true, but
He resigned.
Cho resigned.
In this game, we actually didn't have much of a Yose.
Someone was asking, how do I think about Zen's Yose? Zen's Yose, I don't think it's very good, actually.
Yes. At least in previous games, it was giving up points all around.
Yes. So in the first game, it did lose a lot in the end game. And I don't think its end game is very good, actually.
Yes.
But in this game, of course, the end game didn't have anything to do with the outcome.
Yes.
It still probably has an end game stronger than most amateurs.
Most likely, yes.
Yeah, so it can probably beat amateurs up in the end game, but it looks weaker than a professional player in the end game.
And from Zen's strengths and weaknesses, Yose is quite definitely its weakest part. As we
Yes.
saw in this game, its fighting power and attacking power is incredibly good.
Yes, from the earlier versions also, I noticed that it's very good at trying to go and kill opponent's group.
Yes, whenever there is even a slight chance for making it a kind of a.
And that was when it was very weak, and I was giving it something like 4 or 5 stones.
I see.
So it was pretty likely that I would have a weak group somewhere.
Right.
見つけて勝たず、まあぶつかれば普通ですよ。ぶつかってどうだったかですけど。
I suppose we will enter interview in a moment.
Yes.
取られることはないかもしれないんですけどね。最後は、はい。ただ地合いの問題もあるんですが、いやわかんでも生き方次第ですけど。でもそれぶつかれば辛いですから。ぶつかられたら普通ですよね。
いやこれでこの辺積んだったよね。石がいいよね。なんか
けを打たれたんですか。
なんか死なない雰囲気だったんだけど。大予選まで持ってかれたら危ねえなという気のと同じ展開になるんですよ。
これも難しいですね。
こっち側から行って、この辺捨ててこっち側から大きく行けられたら簡単で。
はいはいはい。一応大きいですね。
ずっとこの一見飛びを気にしてるんですよ、こっちやりながら。この辺前に行ったよね、この辺でな。
まあ実際はだいぶ真ん中に肉ついたんで、また違いも。
なんかね、ここも考えちゃうと割とつながる。なんかタイムだとこれ映すもんだったんだけどね。
これ難しいですよね、これね。まあもう使い打ってなんかしょうがないって感じですかね、やっぱ結局は。はい、結局そこは。ここ
は取れたんでな。
はいはいで取れなかったら、はいそうですね。
これが読み筋だ。石が重いよね、こっちへ来たね。この継ぎが打ててちょっと安心したんですよね、切っていただいて。ここは継げてから来たな。ね、こっちは重かったね。あとつけるならこっちでつけるかね。いや、まあノータイムでこっちでな。
軽いですね。
そう。
それでは代表質問の方させていただきます。
それでは代表質問をさせていただきます。
まずは勝者ディープ前後の加藤秀樹さんにお伺いいたします。まず初勝利おめでとうございます。今の感想をお願いいたします。
感無量としか言いようがない。昨日の負けで、前の場合黒番の方が少し攻めすぎて不安定になる感じがあって、で昨日白番を引いて、まあ序盤ある程度リードって言っても多分2、3目なのかなと思ってたんですが、大よだからちょっと楽観しちゃったですね。それでその後ずっと言って楽観して、モンテカルロゴの悪い癖で安全モードっていう、まあ普通に俗に呼んでるんですけれども、少し地を損しながらまあ勝率を上げるというモードに入って、ところがまあ地の計算にちょっと誤差があって、左上ですかね、あそこの地の計算に誤差があって、それで、その安全モードに入ってまだ勝ってるつもりで少し損をしながら寄せを終わってみたら逆転というか、実は負けてたというのがだんだんこう手がスムーズで分かってきて、で最後ぐちゃぐちゃな手を打って、まあ、しまったんです。なので今回、まあ、その辺少しいじろうかという話もあったんですね。まあ、どっちかと私はちょっといじろうかという設定をしたんですが、まあ小島君とのあるいは他のスタッフとも相談をしまして、まあもう昨日2倍ぐらい時間が消費時間が違ったので、まあ、もうちょっとバランスを取ろうということで、前の飛行時間を 1.6 倍ぐらいに調整して、それだけ変更してきたんですね。でそれでまあちょっと勝つことができたのは、まあ本当に運が、まあ最後のこのミスがなければ一体どうなっていたか、ミスを見がなければまだ分かんなかったと思いますから、本当に運が良かった。
そういたしますと、その設定を変えたというのがかなりプラスだったということでしょうか。
なんか今日の張先生ちょっと短気だったような、なんかここの出とかですね、昨日みたいにじっくり打たれていたら多分負けてたんじゃないかというので、一番それを感じましたね。時間の設定も効果はあったと思います。やはり1、2箇所読み筋と違う手をその場になって読み筋と違うきついて、ここの掛け継ぎになる覗きですかね、あるいはここのコスミでしたか、ちょっとここの覗きになるコスミとか、ここの掛け継ぎとか、あの辺が多分手が変わってたと思います。
わかりました。それでは第3局へ向けての抱負、意気込みなど。
いや、まあ記者会見の時、張先生と冗談で、1勝1敗で第3局を迎えると盛り上がりますねという話をしたんですが、いやまあ
運よくこういう展開になって、あと解説も山先生ということもありまして、これは第3局は、ぜひぜひ皆さんにご覧になっていただきたい。でまたそれに見合ういい勝負ができれば、第3局にはまだ日数がありまして、前の方の改良ももう、いろいろやっておりますので、その結果がうまく出てくれると、勝てるかもしれないと思っております。
どうもありがとうございました。それでは、長竹名誉名人にもお伺いしたいと思います。まずは本局を振り返って一言いただけますか。
いや序盤は悪かったんですけどね、なんかこの辺しのいで勝ちになったと思ったんだけど、この石が死んじゃいけないね。情けないですね。もうちょっと軽く打たなきゃいけなかったね。まあ本タイムになるここに打つんだけど、ちょっと勝ちにいっちゃったね。最悪でしたね。軽く打っていけば多分、まあこの石が死んじゃ情けないですね。ヘボですね。
しのぎ勝負に持ち込みまして、そのあたりの前の内振りの印象など。
というよりも自分の方がひどいですね。まずいですね。もうちょっと軽くさばかなきゃいけないね。石が重くなっちゃったもんね。こういうふうに重く打っちゃいけないね。ここは軽くさばかなきゃ。勝ち負けは別にしてね。こうつけ切って押して、ここで軽く打たなきゃいけないね、石がね。この羽からいや跳ねて小隅を見てなかったもんだからね。それがこっちぶつかってくるのかと思ってね。ほんでここを見ながら軽くどうかなと思ってたんだけど、この手が重いの、いやこれはもう考えなかったですね、僕の脳裏。こっち危険だからね、キリがあって。だけどもうこの羽がいけないね。いやっていうかこの手を見てなかった僕が悪いんだけど、情けないですね。
ありがとうございます。それから、
はい、
あと序盤比較的早く打たれてたように思いますが、何か作戦か何かあったでしょうか。
時間がなくなってなんか慌てて打つとなんか寂しいからね、序盤早く打ったんだけど、早くちぎってこれひどいとこ打っちゃったね、羽がね。先に細まなきゃいけなかった。早く打つと悪い手打つしね、考えると悪い手打つしね。どうすりゃいいのかな。シアンバシブルですよね。これ序盤ひどかったですね。ここ跳ねて止められちゃ悪いですね。先にとりあえずこすんでこすんで出てからゆっくり跳ねればいいの。先手だから打っとこうと思ったら先手じゃなかったんだね、あれ。だけど本当に序盤はひどかったですね。ただ後半でもまあ、この石が死んじゃ情けないですね。ちょっと寂しいですね、こういう石が死んじゃね。こういう石が死んじゃいけないね。
それでは最後に、これで1勝1敗となりましたが、第3局へ向けて一言お願いいたします。
1勝1敗にする気なかったんだけどね。だけどまあ、本当に一局一局ね、本当に本当に人間と打ってるようなそういう気分にさせてくれるし、まあ今日負けたのは残念だけど、まあ自分が弱いからしょうがないことで3局打てることはとてもいいし、まあもうちょっとマシな方が打ちたいですね、やっぱしね。
ありがとうございました。
はい。 年も前つだったね。
実戦でぶつかっ
Okay, we're going to finish fairly soon now. In the interview, Kato was saying that after the first game, he decided that the computer was not using enough time. So although he didn't change the bias of the system itself, he did change its time control to let it use 1.6 times as much time as it was using before.
Right.
So there's a time control there that was determining how long it could think. So it was thinking slightly longer.
As we also felt today.
Yes. And he seemed quite happy, didn't he, Mr. Kato?
Yes,
the
definitely.
programmer, yes.
Almost like he was playing by himself again.
As if he had won the game.
Yes.
And Chikun was saying that he didn't dream that those stones would die. Of course, looking at the game, I was thinking that they were. I was thinking they could die fairly early on. But
He is quite confident after all.
He seems to think that it's very easy for that kind of group to live.
Yes.
And it was a very difficult fight, but he was showing in the center how he should have played differently. And he repeatedly said that he should have played a more light move, and he got very heavy in the actual fighting.
It seems like this Kosumi peep over here
The peep
was completely outside of his expectations.
Yes, and so after that, White became very, very heavy.
Yes.
And didn't really have much room to move around in.
Indeed.
And so, well, as far as the matches, the 3-game match is concerned, it's very interesting now.
Yes.
Exciting, with one win each, and they'll be playing the 3rd game on
Next Wednesday.
Yeah. So, I hope that everyone will come and watch that game too, and we'll be there, same time on Wednesday. That's what day? It's the 23rd.
23rd, I think. Yes.
Yeah. And again, Japanese time.
Yes. Hopefully you had a great time watching us today, and we hope to see you again